Hello, my fellow vapers. Welcome to another Smoker Show, episode number 8. Can you believe it? We've made it that far. Mr. Phil Busardo, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I haven't seen you in a whole 4
I
hours.
know.
And are you as exhausted as I am?
I am so jet lagged and tired right now. It's not even funny. We had some travel woes. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, the Smoker Show must go on, right?
Yeah, it must go on. I don't know how much wonderful content we're going to have for you folks tonight, but we will go ahead and suffer through this and see if we can't convert some more smokers to vapors.
We always do. And why are you so bright?
Well,
I don't know. It's the aura that's around you, obviously, being Busardo.
Man. I'm telling you, it's the camera. But the good news is this will be the last episode with this camera, and I'm moving to another camera, and hopefully that will solve all my problems.
Big shout out to Scott Taylor sending all the people after his show over here. You see all the STs.
That's awesome. I love that.
In the chat, the telephone lines will be open. We're hoping to do some Q&A today. 215-383-5752.
Dimi. They're saying my mic is very low.
Okay, I can fix that.
Can you fix that, please?
I just did.
We're working on it, folks. How about this?
Right. I just fixed.
My friends. Hello.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that any better?
I think that's pretty good. I think I fixed it for you.
Okay, they're complaining. They want to hear me, Dimitri. I can't blame them. Really can't.
Well, you can't. No matter what you do, somebody will complain, buddy. I don't care if everything is perfect. But all right, I think we got all the volume set perfectly right now. Before we get started, let me just play a little clip from one of our sponsors, and then we'll get right into it. Okay?
Right into it.
Okay, Mr. Phil, just briefly, we're going to do a little recap of our trip and our experience at the Hall of Vape in Stuttgart, Germany. And
before we do that, Dimitri, can you please say schnitzel?
Schnitzel. I can't say it.
You really can't.
My Invisalign and my accent is preventing me from saying snitchel. I say snitchel. So it sounds like
snitchel.
Sounds like Skechers. All right, so first we're going to do a little recap from Hall of Vape. Then we're going to get into, again, a lot of smokers information that I got a hold of at the conference down in Atlanta, trying once again to figure out why smokers are not switching to vaping. Then we're going to talk a little bit of a pod system that I got and maybe the Innokin TA team from Phil if we have some time. I also want to touch on seeing the difference between, starting vaping in the EU versus the United States as well, too. We also have five starter kits with liquid to give away from the one that we announced in the last Smoker Show based on the comments of the replay. So we're going to send out 5 kits. Hopefully we'll be able to get some feedback from that. Then we're going to open up the telephone lines and take your questions or comments, whatever you have. And it sounds like a great night of fun.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it, Dimitri. You know, when I was in Germany, a gentleman came up to me and he recommended that I do a he said like a 30 to 40 minute video going over vaping for beginners, right? And that's kind of what this show is for, especially if you go to the earlier episodes. But I agree with what he said, and I think we should do another episode here relatively soon and kind of go over some of it again, but maybe like condense it a little bit. Just have that first 30 minutes of the show where we go over, the basics of vaping, how to get started in vaping, and make that available to people should they need to see it.
I certainly agree. I was shocked, Phil.
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
I was shocked. How many people came up to us and said that thank you and how much they enjoy the Smoker Show in Germany? At least 15 people. It was pretty amazing, man.
I was really blown away by that. You don't expect that, especially when you're in Germany. Well, first of all, I don't expect that anybody even knows me. Like, I'm still blown away by that. But when you go there and you have 15 people come up to you and say, thank you for doing the Smoker Show. We think it's such an important show. So to all the people who thanked us, thank you back. And if there's anybody watching from Germany tonight, we sincerely appreciate that. But remember, this is a show for smokers, not necessarily for vapers. So send smokers here to watch the show.
It's funny because I think that the people there got it. I think they understood it. When we had the Q&A up on the stage, we talked a lot about smokers and converting smokers, especially in a country where bigger is better, right? I mean, German vapors are just truly crazy. And I mean that in the good sense of the word, because, they like big things, right? And a lot of people are walking around with these huge mods, these huge 30 mil tanks, with all this stuff, which is, it's fantastic. But I think that a lot of the Germans get it. And not once did we ever anybody come up to us and says, why did you call it the Smoker Show? But we did get a lot of comments, and I think that's wonderful. Speaking of the show, look at this. This is the entrance waiting for the consumers to come in day one. Overall, over 20,000 people went through those doors in 2 days. It was just an amazing feat from the organizers. And it was just an amazing feat from putting such a grand scale of a show and people in such an organized fashion. I think it was pretty amazing, Phil.
I never once heard any complaints from anybody having to wait outside, right? And this is something that we saw at the last Hall of Vape Germany. This is something we saw again at this Hall of Vape Germany. The only reason people had to wait is because they got there before the doors opened. And once the doors opened, they so efficiently got everybody in there. And it went from 0 to 200 kilometers per hour in like no time at all, Dimitri.
Yeah.
You saw it. We were doing all of our interviews for the video that I'm about to put out either tomorrow or the next day. We had to do those early during the B2B. Otherwise, once those doors opened, there was no way to get interviews because everybody was so crowded and backed up with customers, which was great to see.
Yeah, and this is a top-down shot up from the balcony, obviously just covering one side of it. There's a whole other side on it. And my camera couldn't get. I do have a panoramic picture up on my Facebook of the entire event, but just to give you a kind of a scale how massive this was, 21,000 square meters, completely sold out. And thankfully for us, it was cool in there, and there was room to walk around, because we have experienced that in previous events as well too, where we go in and it's just too crowded. Last year, you could barely walk in the aisles, but thankfully this year that problem was taken care of because the organizers had rented the entire hall. Now, and this is the big exposition center there in Stuttgart. There's various halls, and this year we had the biggest hall in that block, which there's like 7 or 8 different halls as well too. So, from a standpoint of a balance, there was a good balance between hardware and liquid. Obviously liquid, 3-1 over hardware, but again, compared to US shows, there was a pretty good balance between high-end stuff and beginner stuff as well too. And there were a lot of booths just selling regular tanks, man. And I don't get, why don't we do that here in the United States? If somebody wanted to buy a Nautilus or an Aries or a Zenith or something, and somebody that was starting, there was an availability of everything, right, Phil?
Yeah, and I saw that. As a matter of fact, I even pointed it out to you at a couple of the booths. It was like the old days of vaping. You remember, there was always that company that, like, the shop brought their shop to the Vaping Expo, right? So there were those flea market style tables where they had everything. all the tanks that you could possibly think of, all the devices, a whole bunch of different e-liquids set up in like a flea market style fashion with show specials too, right? So people were able to see not only the largest modders gallery in, I think, the history of vaping, right, but also all of the manufacturers, all of the e-liquid vendors, and some just vape shops that were there with these tables of all this gear that you could buy.
It was a pretty amazing experience, and I mean I really enjoyed the show. I for us it was a very successful show because we were there representing our products as well too, and we had a lot of good feedback. We did want to present the show out to the public. We shot a lot of good video. I think that you're going to see on the recap. We did quite a few lives from over there as well too, just trying to mix it up a little bit, just change it based on how we've been covering the shows in the past. A really good conference section set up far away from the show with its own PA system and its own kind of intimate sitting area as well too, that had various presentations there, scientific discussions, YouTubers. It was done well. The organizers had set up private rooms as well too for people to do business to business. If they wanted to have a meeting, you could get away from the show. It was nicely done with food and coffee and all that. And you know, I mean, big thumbs up to Ira and Francesca and the entire crew there at the Hall of Vape for putting on consistently. I think at this point one of the largest, one of the best shows in the world. And I look forward to going every year. And even this year, you know, this is one of the things that me and Phil don't let up. We made some more suggestions. We want these, you know, we want these shows to be around. We want to be able to convert smokers as well too. What can we do to go above and beyond to kind of take it up a notch, to be able to welcome more than the enthusiasts at these shows? Now, I mean, as far as the crowd was concerned, obviously the majority that are going to come at these shows are advanced vapers, but you see a good blend of people feel in all European shows, but mostly at this one.
Yeah, I thought there was a good mix of people. There was a good mix of product, you know. But once again, I still think that there should be a section of the show dedicated to the beginning vapor,
Agreed.
Right? To that uneducated person who's going to walk in there and who's going to be absolutely overwhelmed by what they see, not only in product, but what people are using too. So we made a bunch of recommendations to Ira, and I think Ira is going to work with us in future shows, and I think that's fantastic. Also labeling, Dimitri, some really, really bad labels there at the show.
Yeah, and I think that I think that if you look at overall, all the shows at this point are kind of suffering from that issue, right? Especially when you have companies that are competing with each other, companies that are growing internationally. We did see, I would say, probably between 20 to 25% some of the labeling needed to be taken care of. Now, in a grand, massive scale of the show that had over 180 exhibitors, you know, that might not sound like a lot, but it was even one, in my opinion, is too much. And we relayed that feedback back to the organizers, and we said that, you know, there was quite a few that were questionable, but there was a couple that were really, really bad. And I hate to see that, especially in a show like this. You know, when you have a show that has 20,000 people that go through, you know the government authorities are there. You know that people from the government are there walking around trying to see what's going on and try to gather information for the industry as well too. You know you have media going around. You know you have people that could, you know, easily just take some pictures and pass it on to authorities as well too. So I think overall it's going to hurt us at some point unless we start taking charge and trying to clean up some of these shows. And we've seen that here in the United States with the NVE and a few other shows that are trying to take a better stance at it. It's a work in process. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think for a smoker going into a show like that, it would deter him from trying vapor products if we turn this too much into a circus. So that's one thing that we have to be aware of, and that's not something that we have to be conscious about when we're discussing vaping on this kind of a scale. Again, if you're not there to experience it, I'm telling you that this show it's one of the greatest, you know, vape expos right now on the planet.
Yeah, by far. And what was nice was Ira. I mean, he told us at the beginning of the show, he goes, when this is over, I want you to sit me down and tell me what's wrong. Yeah. And he said, don't worry about my feelings. Don't worry about my opinion. Don't worry about anything. tell me what's wrong with this show. And I have a lot of respect for him for that, right?
Yeah.
So, I look forward to continuing to go to the show, supporting the show, and watching the show evolve and mature.
We did had some fun there, and we have to mention this because I think that as far as shows concerned, we went a couple of days earlier, which we rarely get a chance to do, and we got to spend some time to see Stuttgart and visit a few places. And one of the most amazing experiences that I have had, definitely a bucket list that's been checked off, is visiting the Porsche facility. Is it Porsche? What did we say? Is it Porsche? Porsche.
I think Porsche is the correct pronunciation.
Right. And we got to visit the factory and did a tour of the museum and the factory itself. And luckily enough, we got to rent and drive some Porsches, right? That was pretty cool. And we had Mark Todd with us as well from Todd's Reviews.
It was a lot of fun. It was really, really awesome. Okay, so Todd got lost 3 times?
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up.
Well, but I'm gonna bring it up. Here's why I'm gonna bring it up, because he was falling behind a couple of times, missed a couple turns a couple of times, and Dimitri right away started picking on him. But then come to find out, Todd is used to driving on the other side of the road, right? And considering the speeds that we were doing, I was wildly impressed after that, right? Because I don't think I would have been able to do that.
Mad respect to Todd, because yes, granted, I'm a ball buster, right? So, to everybody, but he did get lost a couple of times. He did have a few issues. To be honest, I was really concerned about you because you're more conservative than me. I'm more of a daredevil than you are. So I was really concerned you're going to get left behind. We had GPSs and all that. We had our phones and we had everything going for us. But I was like, man, I feel really bad for Phil. Like, we're going to get on the Autobahn. I'm going to be doing 220 and he's going to be on the right lane doing like 60, right? But man, I gotta give you, you held your own when we had a lot of fun. We got on the Autobahn and just wide open. I've never driven that fast, probably about 135 miles per hour. And then we got off the Autobahn and we went through some German villages and some curves in the back streets. We saw just the countryside of Stuttgart, and it was just an amazing experience. I want everybody to look at this picture here, and this is Phil in his car. And you can just look at his face, man. Look at that. I mean, he just looks like a kid in an all-you-can-eat candy store right there. Just came in, and it was great. It was just an amazing experience. I really enjoyed that, and even the tour afterwards. We had a private guided tour through the factory, giving us the history of Porsche, and I learned a lot that I didn't know. Not only that, but the next day we did the Mercedes tour, which was just as impressive. And I just want to thank everybody for the experience. Dennis, our tour guide that we have every year, Dennis was just amazing. And
Dennis is good people. Dennis is really good people. A couple things there, Dimitri. First of all, I had to channel much younger Phil Busardo driving down the Garden State Parkway to get to Seaside Heights as quickly as possible in my Camaro. Yeah. So I had to channel that guy. So that guy drove pretty quick. But you're right. In that one photo, I do look like a kid in a candy store. Man, I've gained weight, and I'm really bummed out by it. I don't.
You look great, good, buddy.
I'm not happy with myself right now.
Look sexy. You look sexy as always. And I want to give a shout out to Todd as well too. We got to spend a little bit more time every one of these shows. We get to spend a little bit more time with him, and accept them from the fact that our bromance really makes him uncomfortable, which makes it even more fun to hang around with. But it's again, I have to reiterate how much alike we are when we're talking about vaping and products and tobacco harm reduction, and we're on the same wavelength, and I think that's why we match up well when we go to these shows and spend some time together. So yeah, big shout out to him. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I really do enjoy spending time with Todd, and I really do enjoy watching him squirm as he deals with our humor. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I don't want to give anything away. You're just gonna have to wait for Phil's video. Phil shot a lot of video through both of these experiences, and I can't wait to see it. But yeah, it was truly memorable. And let's not forget, this is a smoker show, and we're going to talk about smoking. We're going to talk about vaping as well too. Pod systems. When we're talking about making the switch, even in the EU, we're seeing an influx of pod systems there as well. The one thing that I want to talk about when we're talking about EU and switching is that EU has a huge disadvantage versus the United States that a lot of people are not talking about. And if you're a smoker in the EU, this is one of the challenges you're going to face. When you're looking at finished product, you have a 20 milligram maximum set by the EU TPD standards, right? So that makes it really, really difficult. For example, salt nicotine that is very, very popular in the United States in small pod systems is at a very high nicotine strength at 45, 50, sometimes 60 milligram. You can't have that in the EU, which sucks. It sucks. The law in the EU sucks. The TPD sucks. I can't stress that enough. So you're going to have to find different ways in order to be able to make that switch. And then we're talking about going back to 12 and 18 milligram nicotine. I want you to touch on that, Phil, with the existing systems that we have, the MTL systems that we have out there right now.
So you want me to touch on that? What exactly do you want me to touch on, Dimitri? I find it interesting because I just got an email today from somebody, and the question was, and I get these emails a lot. So there may be a little announcement coming soon. I'm not sure. And Dimitri, I think you might know what I'm talking about. But the question was, Phil, how come I can't find anything over 6 milligrams in vape shops?
Yeah.
And I hear this all the time. But Phil, can you please send me someplace? Can you please recommend someplace that has 50-50 and 12 milligram or 18 milligram or 24 milligram standard? Some people don't like the salts. I happen to be one of them.
Yeah.
And I think, I really think that those vape shops that don't carry anything over 6 milligram and just have high VG, I don't think they care about the smoker. Now, I'm not saying anything, because there should be shops that cater just to vapers, just to cloud chasers, but always have something there for the smoker, something to allow them to successfully transfer over to vaping, because I don't think a 6 milligram is going to do it. I really don't. So, look for those shops that do support the transitioning smoker and the higher nicotine levels.
I think that's for the EU as well too, right? Because you are kind of limited on the nicotine. You are kind of limited on the bottle size. So you're going to have to be able to either use a short field, which you're going to have to nicotine yourself if you want to go into a bigger size, which again, it's very, very difficult to get over 6 milligram with existing booster shots in the EU. So when we're talking about converting, I think it's really, really, important to, if you don't want to DIY from the beginning, get your 18 milligram 10 mil pre-filled bottle and use it in an existing system where you don't have to vape that much and it's not that expensive, and then slowly try to transition into a short field or a mix and vape of what they call there that's going to be able to accommodate you. Without those higher nicotines, though, it's very, very difficult, especially people that smoke, heavy cigarettes, 2 packs a day or even 3 packs a day. That's one of the things that I think that the TBD did not take in consideration when we're talking about trying to get people to switch. That's why I think that we see dual usage being very, very high as well, too. Not in Europe alone, but, across the world. We've seen that data from the last Smoker Show that's out there as well, too. So, again, I'm not trying to promote our products. I mean, the Zenith and tanks like that, but you can even the Nautilus, even if you're talking about Joytech, the GS Air tanks, there's a lot of available stuff out there. Don't just fall into this pod trap right off the bat. And I'm calling it a pod trap because in the EU, again, with the limitation of nicotine, when we're talking about small systems, when I'm talking about small systems, I'm talking about little pods like this, and I'm going to show you a new one here today as well, too. Unless you have the right battery and the right configuration of the atomizer, and this is all foreign to you smokers, but, having enough power to be able to satisfy you with the nicotine strength maximum at 20, you're not just going to be able to get a satisfaction. So even though this is convenient for somebody starting in the EU, you're going to have a harder time transitioning if you're a heavy smoker unless you get into an open system.
Right, but I did find it interesting, and I think you're going to talk about it when you get to that pod system, is the nicotine level that they did offer.
Yeah.
Even though it is a Freebase nicotine, the level that they offered is pretty high. And when I did try it, I got a good amount of throat hit. I was actually very, very satisfied by that. And again, this is just how I vape, but I find the Freebase nicotine far more satisfying than the salt nicotines, simply because I get that throat hit thump that I need.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at a question here. Bill is trying to copy some. I really don't understand what the question is. Doesn't the market dictate the stock when you guys mentioned having juices for smokers too?
So I think that question is, so he's saying that, well, isn't that what everybody wants now? Zero
Sure, all the
times.
vapors, yeah, but this is
Sure.
not the vapor show. This is the smoker
Exactly
show. I
right.
mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say it. This is the smoker show, and it's not the vapor show. There's plenty of products out there for the vapors. Of course, they're going to dictate the market, but there's still millions of smokers out there. So, I mean, I guess we can make it, selfish and just call it the vapor show, and everybody's happy. But this is not what this is about. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just the fact. Phil, looking over there at some of the pod systems and some of the starter kits that we saw in the EU, I kind of get the impression that there is kind of a push to get people, into an advanced setup, maybe a little bit earlier than what we personally would suggest. And I get it, though. I mean, I understand, simply because of that limitation and the limitation of the bottles and all that. And, when you're walking around with all your vapor friends and all that, everybody has kind of a different system. But if you don't have that thump, you know what I'm talking about, to get you over the hump, I'm okay with people getting a little bit more into the advanced right off the bat.
Yeah, I can see that. But I mean, let's not forget too. So if 20 milligram is the highest that they have available to them, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm everybody, but I mean, I was able to quit smoking back in 2009 with 18 milligram and really terrible product, really bad product, right? So if you have really good product now and you're able to get nicotine levels up to 20 milligrams, I don't know if there's an excuse at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to switch shots as well too. My fingers are a little bit tired. But I do believe that a strong 18 milligram tobacco liquid, okay, just to kind of end that segment there, an 18 milligram nicotine liquid, even in the EU right now, in the correct tank, and we're talking about tanks like the 𝗲𝗏𝗏, the Zenith, the GSRs, the open MTL replaceable coil systems that are on the market right now should be enough to do the trick.
Yeah, even what do you call it? All-in-one systems like the Ego AIO.
Yeah,
I think that would be more than. I mean, I think that's a great device, and I think those nicotine strengths would be very good for that product.
Yeah,
and should I say it again? Let's say it again. I'm going to say it again. A lot of people with the standard nicotine, they complain. They complain because they try it and then they cough. They cough and they put it down right away. They put it down. I've heard this from my friends. When my friends started vaping, I've heard this from other people. Look, when you had that first cigarette, when you took your first inhale, chances are you coughed. But you took another puff, and then you took another puff, and then you had another cigarette, and then you had another cigarette, right? And then all of a sudden you didn't cough anymore because you were now used to the cigarette, okay? Well, do me a favor. If you try something like this and you cough, give this much healthier alternative as much of a chance as you gave your cigarette. Yeah. Because in a few days, probably a few hours, you won't cough anymore.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's just something that I hear all the time, and it's driving me crazy. But then again, I mean, if it's something that you just can't get around, then try a Nic Salt.
Yes, I totally agree with you. People got to tough it out a little bit. Come on, I mean, what are you? We're all adults here. I did see a question about holding the vapor in when people vape, and they kind of hold it in as well too. I mean, from a standpoint of, I get it. Some people try to vape like it's weed, and I've seen this multiple times when I give a device to somebody to try that's never vaped before, and they do this. They go. And then hold that in. But, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I mean, it's all about the throat sensation, whether you hold it in or not. I do it all the time because I stealth vape everywhere. So I double inhale everywhere with my 60% PG liquid that's out there. I don't think that really affects a transitioning smoker, though, Phil, if they decide to do it that way, right?
Well, I mean, it potentially could. I mean, if you do hold the vapor in longer, I think you're going to get more nicotine absorption, right? Yeah. I would imagine anyway. I'm not a doctor. I can't say that for sure.
Yeah.
But, I'm pretty sure that would happen. Of course, when you exhale, then you're going to have less vapor because the vapor is going to condense in your lungs in that case.
Yes. By the way, do us a favor, share this video if you can right now on your social media. Maybe a smoker will see it, and that's the whole goal of it. Maybe they just click it and they say, oh, what the hell is the smoker show? and maybe we can get some people interested in vaping. So we appreciate the shares and the likes simply to get traction on the video. This is what we're looking for, getting some traction, and maybe just somebody randomly will just get on YouTube and pick it up, and that's what it's all about. I did see a question about good lines over 6 milligrams. Let's just talk about that towards the end of the show, if you don't mind, because that's a down a rabbit hole that's going to be difficult to come back from. Moving along, I do want to bring up this presentation that I got. This is from Charles Gardner. He is director of the newly founded Foundation for a Smoke-Free World, and this is his father had died from smoking as well too, and it's something that I talked to him about because my father died from smoking as well too. But this segment over here is going to focus a lot on smoker again misconception, as we talked about last week, and some of the facts that you as a smoker should know if you decide to make the transition to vaping, and some of the stuff that might be holding you back. But the truth is that death by smoking, is the #1 preventable cause of cancer and lung disease in the entire world. I mean, you're going to see here, obviously, how it kind of breaks down. But to this day, in 2018, which I find prehistoric, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, this is the year where technology has taken over. We have Uber that's coming out. We have food delivery coming to your house. We have apps that people ring your doorbell and you can talk to them if you're not at home. This is a year of 2018 where I look at people that are smoking and I think that it's prehistoric. And yet it is the #1 product. It's the #1 consumable product in the world right now that kills people. And I just cannot for the world of me feel that people are still smoking, and you cannot dispute the facts.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you've said this a few times, and I agree with this as well. When you see somebody smoking, it almost looks old-fashioned to me at this point.
Yeah.
Right? You got to wonder, like, why? I mean, I understand there's a satisfaction there. There's a pleasure there that people get. There's the nicotine that people get. But when you consider vaping, and when you consider all the different ways that you can vape, and when you consider the satisfaction of vaping, the aromas, you don't have the smoker's smell. You still get your nicotine. You get your throat hit. You get your fake smoke, which is the vapor. You get this world of flavors. It's really surprising that a lot of people, not a lot more people who are smokers, haven't made the transition yet.
Yeah, I get it. The Foundation for a Smoke-Free World, the purpose to improve global health by ending smoking in this generation and to help smallholder tobacco farmers transition to alternative livelihood. I think this is a very, very important part that sometimes gets missed. There is a global economy that has built on smoking as well, too. And there's a lot of jobs that are dependent. You're going to see here in one of the slides, there are 33 million jobs, farmer jobs, across the planet that are connected with smoking. 33 million. Just think about that for a second, because sometimes we like to say, screw the FDA and screw the government that's doing that, screw the government that's doing that. But they do have somewhat a responsibility to, obviously, the lobbying campaigns that are going on behalf of these businesses as well, too. So what can we do moving ahead for a smoke-free world, but also be able to replace the livelihood of some of these people that are dependent on tobacco crops and this entire economy? Unfortunately, that has been built on smoking as well too. It's just an interesting thought that I think a lot of vapors sometimes we just don't take into consideration.
Wait, let's pause here for a second, because Jay Jarry is giving some really, really bad information in the thread, and I think maybe it's a joke. But considering that this is the smoker show and potentially there are smokers that are watching the show, let's try to put out good information in the thread. No, Jay Jerry, if you add 3 milligram liquid to 6 milligram liquid, you do not get 9 milligram.
Yeah, I hope that's a joke. Please, guys.
I hope that's a joke as well.
There's new people watching this video.
That's the problem. We got to be careful with the jokes that we're making here, because we do want smokers to watch the show, and smokers are going to see that chat. So let's try to keep the information there good. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Phil. Yeah. So please, if you have any questions, you can just hold them until the phone line's open, or when we take Q&A through the chat as well too. So they did a little survey of 17,000 plus smokers, ex-smokers, and non-smokers in 13 countries, just to be able to get a little bit more information on what is happening. Here's the countries that were listed: Brazil, France, Greece, Israel, India, Japan, Lebanon, Malawi, New Zealand, Russia, South Africa, United Kingdom, United States. Obviously, Italy is not here. I'm sorry, Phil. And here's the methodology, and of course a little bit more qualitative focus group in 7 of those 13 countries, and this is something as a smoker that I want to really just kind of dive into, Phil. What are the challenges for you that are a smoker that are watching this show that you're trying to overcome when you're thinking about quitting or switching to a less harmful alternative as is vaping? And you can see the combinations here, and tell me if these were part of your experience as well too, Phil, when you used to smoke. So we have the physical, right, which you have the intense craving, difficulty to concentrate if you weren't able to smoke, insomnia, weight gain. We do have the behavioral, the habit, the physiological aspect, the routine, with coffee, in the car, after sex, having something in your hand, just constantly holding that stick 800 times a day. Excuse me, lifting up that stick like 800 times a day, put it in your mouth. And of course, the social aspect of smoking, going out with your friends. Obviously, now in the last 10 years, mostly you would be behind the dumpster or somewhere outside because smoking indoors is pretty much banned everywhere. And lastly, the emotional, the pleasure that it gives you, calming your stress and your anger and your anxiety. How pissy or cranky feel you get when you couldn't smoke. Just that inclusion that you feel with the other smokers. And of course, the boredom factor as well, too, something that I didn't say. So kind of expand on this. How many of these describe you, Phil?
This is really interesting. Let's leave this up, okay?
Sure.
Because so I'm thinking about now when I quit the first time, okay? And that was without the use of e-cigarettes, okay? So what did I feel? The intense need and craving, and the weight gain. Okay, so those were the 2 physical that really hit me. Behavioral would probably be having something in my hand, okay, which I take care of at night every night, but that's not something we want to talk about here. The habit, I would say,
yeah,
and I think that's there with behavioral, but the emotional, right? So the pleasure, yes, the calm, stress, anger, and anxiety. Oh my God, I can remember the first time that I quit. I just wanted to rip somebody's throat out on day 3. I really did.
Yeah.
Irritable. It helps with boredom too. So these are all things that vaping can give you, where other quitting methods don't. And that's why I think vaping is so much more successful for people than patches and gums and lozenges and pills, because it really does. It switches one vice to another. I understand that, but it's also a much healthier way for you to get your nicotine.
By the way, the arable part for Phil has not been changed with vaping. I just want to put that out there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I totally agree here when they say smoking isn't just a physical addiction for smokers, because it really isn't. There's so much other stuff going on with your body. There's other toxicants in cigarettes that you're dependent on. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But the emotional and the social part of your life. How many times, Phil? How many times have we heard from a vapor that I encountered a stressful time in my life and I went back to smoking? And why isn't vaping keeping them on cigarettes, or why are we seeing that dual use? And I think that emotional has to do. And this is something that I am going to really stress for vape shop owners that might be watching, or for vapors that are giving advice to their friends. Don't be afraid to raise your nicotine level. Let's stop this. Oh, I have to wait. Unless nicotine is bad for you, or you're having some kind of a health issue, there's absolutely no way for anybody to guide smokers that have transitioned to this product, or even vapors, to lower their nicotine level. That is a huge misconception that this industry, I don't know where it started from. It might have started from liquid makers that wanted to sell more liquid. It might have started from the high-VG cloud, phase that we kind of entered in vaping as well too. But those emotional and stressful times need more nicotine. It is pure and simple. If you are down to a 3 milligram level and you encounter that stressful time into your life, there's nothing wrong with going into a different setup and picking it up to 12 and 18 milligram to try to get you over the hump. I hate to hear that. Oh, I got into a stressful life and I started smoking in, Phil.
You know, I can't agree with that more. You know, even in the chat here, I see, you know, I started at a 6, now I'm down to 3, or I started here, now I'm down to this. And, you know, my fear is that, well, that first little thing that goes wrong in your life, you don't go back up nicotine, you wind up buying a cigarette. And I just talked about recently the first time that I quit smoking without the use of e-cigs. And I was off of cigarettes for a year. A year. My grandmother passed away. And I went back to smoking like I never left it. I went right back to a pack a day like I never left it. And, you know, somebody just sent me an email. They were like, Phil, you know, you talked about when we did the thing with that e-liquid company where they had the pamphlet. Remember, we were talking about the physical benefits of when you quit and some of the things that start to happen to your body over time. They just said you didn't mention, like, that was the physical aspects, but you never mentioned the emotional aspects, right? And I find it interesting that now we're talking about the emotional aspects of when you quit. You know, those are some things that you're going to have to deal with, but stop worrying so much about going down in your nicotine level. Correct. Right? You know, we've talked about this before. We don't feel that nicotine is the enemy. Nicotine is the enemy because of how it's been delivered to your body, which is through a combustible tobacco cigarette. Now we have a much safer way to get your nicotine, and I would much rather see you vape higher nicotine strengths and less e-liquid.
You know, there's people that transition to vaping and they lower their nicotine and they come down to 6 or they come down to 3 or even 1.5 or even completely 0 nicotine, and it works and they're happy and they can continue to do that. But not everybody is the same, right? Don't expect, even if you're a vapor giving advice, don't expect just because you're comfortable at 3 milligram and you're happy, you're never going to smoke again, and you found your happy place, that the other person's body or emotional state will act like yours, right? So I think it's very, very important when we're giving advice, and I'm talking to smokers now, when you're listening to advice, don't be afraid of the word nicotine. In fact, the only thing you should not be afraid of in vaping is nicotine, because you are going to need it. And these charts here, I mean, this data that they've gathered here is again, a proving point that all these things are going on inside your mind and inside your body when you're smoking. All of this is a lot to take in. So you can understand, even from our standpoint, what kind of a difficult job we have when we're trying to transition people into vaping. So we're talking about setups and we're talking about nicotines and we're talking about tanks and liquids and all that, which is one part of it, of course, as well too. But look at everything else that people, I mean, you almost feel like you have to have like a support group, which hopefully we can provide and everybody else that's an existing vapor can provide. You almost need an emotional support group to be able to get you over the hump, at least to the point where you feel comfortable when you say, even in a stressful situation, I am not going to look to a combustible to fall into that same trap, right? Well, it's almost like you have to have like various setups, okay? So let's talk about that for a second. So I can find my tank and I can go down to 12 milligram or 6 milligram and, I'm using my tank and I'm happy. But there's nothing wrong with having like a little pod system with 40 milligram nicotine or even like an Echo AIO set up with some higher milligram strength for those times that need to get you over the hump, right? For the times that you need to be able to say, hey, I wake up in the morning and I really, really crave a cigarette. Well, guess what? Maybe it's better you don't pick up, your 3 milligram at that morning. When you're having your coffee in the morning, maybe you pick up that higher milligram strength and be able to replicate that same emotional state that you had, that desire, after coffee, after sex, after food, to be able to get that nicotine craving through. Is that making sense, Phil?
It absolutely is. One of the things, and right now I have the Echo AIO, all those like little acronyms there. And I have this set up with 40 milligram salt, right? And I use this for the review. I just kind of have it sitting by, and I don't use it very often because I like to stay away from the high nicotine salts. But, if you're having that challenge with vaping, and this is something that I've recommended to folks. So you have your tank. and you have your tank with your all day. Maybe it's a 6, maybe it's a 3, maybe it's a 12. I don't know. But have another tank. Have another tank ready to go for those stressful times in your life. Have a tank with an 18 or a 24 Freebase nicotine, or have a tank with a 40 or a 50 milligram salt nicotine, and have it with even a tobacco flavor that you really, really enjoy. And call that tank your cigarette. That's your cigarette. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you have that stressful time, are you talking to me?
I said very good advice. I was just
So, call this tank your cigarette. And when you have that stressful time in your life, or maybe with your morning coffee, or with after sex, Dimitri won't have that vape very often, but just have that cigarette tank that you can screw onto your device right away, and you can get that satisfaction, get yourself over the hump. Okay. And then go back to your 12 milligram or your 3 milligram or your 6 milligram delicious fruity vape. Right. But have that crutch available for you. Okay. And don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to use it. Don't be afraid to vape it.
And that's just really, really good information. My wife, I'm going to give you the example. My wife has been vaping 12 milligram consistently for the last 7 years, 6.5 years. She started at 36, went down to 24, 18, and she's happy. She's happy at 18 milligram. 12 milligram. That's what she vapes a day. A mouth-along setup, 12 milligram, 3-4 meals a day. This is what's satisfactory to her. She likes the throat hit. She likes the amount of vapor that she gets. She likes the flavor that she has. And she's at her happy place, okay? So, like I said, don't be afraid of the number 12, right? It's 1.2% of nicotine, of milligrams of nicotine per meal. Right? That's what 12 means. 1.2%. All right. So you hear these numbers 12 and 18. You're like, oh my God. Even for us, I mean, I swear, I get so mad sometimes when we go to these events and we ask people for 12 and they look at us like,
are you crazy? What's wrong with you?
It's really embarrassing for our industry for you guys to be doing that out there. I'm just putting that out there as well too.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, just a little bit on the terminology that we're using, because I see some questions in the chat.
Sure.
When we talk about Freebase nicotine, we're talking about everything that is not salt nicotine. Okay. Yeah. So you can think of Freebase as standard nicotine. I hate the term Freebase too, but that's what we're using. And then there's salt nicotine. The salt nicotine undergoes a process. Okay. We should get somebody who's an expert on the process on this show one day, but it turns it into salt nicotine, which tends to be smoother. Okay. So you can get a higher nicotine level and not have that harshness in your throat. Okay.
Yeah.
Me personally, I like that harshness in my throat. I still like to feel like I'm smoking a cigarette, but doing it with vaping now.
Yeah. I did see a question. This is from Dino Vicente. Make an informative chart with all the solutions that explains how vaping can help you on all those points. Dino, we do. If you go to tasteyourjuice.com, on every episode replay, we include the slides, and we have a bunch of information on tasteyourjuice.com. So feel free to go over there and check it out. And of course, after this is done, we'll have this up as well. Yeah, I think that nicotine word has caused huge problems, and you're going to see it here in as I continue this presentation as well too.
Before you do, Dimitri, let me just mention something here. This was a few years ago, but I was with Dr. Farsalinos, and I think this was in Buffalo or Toronto or Montreal. I can't remember where. But I told him, I said, Doc, I think this is the year that I'm going to drop my nicotine level. And he said, well, okay, why do you want to do that? I said, well, because I think it's healthier. And he goes, the question he asked immediately was, do you feel that your liquid usage is going to go up? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe. He goes, I would rather you go up in nicotine and go down in your liquid consumption. He goes, that's adds to harm reduction. Okay. So I took that advice and I stayed with my 12 milligram. It still satisfies me. That's where I'm happy. That's my happy place, Dean.
As long as you're happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Because every morning I wake up.
Go ahead. Every morning.
And I ask myself.
Yes.
What can I do to make Phil Busardo happier?
That's really nice.
Every morning I wake up.
You can start by readjusting the foam acoustic panels on your back wall there.
No, I thought about that today. I thought I was going to do it, but I ended up not doing it. But I will. There is a gap right there. I don't know if you see right there. Right there. It's just
it's a huge gap.
So OCD that it's just driving him crazy.
You're supposed to have them alternating. You have them going in one direction. They're supposed to alternate.
Really?
Yeah,
but they are. I have two this way. You'll see these two are this way.
It's just not the way.
I'm sorry. It's just not the way that you do it.
I'll swing my camera around here, and you can see the proper way.
Oh, that's the way.
Look how nice that is.
How about you just come over here and fix it for me? How about you do that?
See, look how beautiful that is. All right, go ahead.
All right, so let's continue. So here you're gonna see, top line findings. Most smokers, right? Have friends who smoke. Partners, spouses that smoke. Know smoking is harmful. Believe that they are addicted. See themselves as less healthy. Are less likely to see a doctor. Try to quit without assistance. I think everybody has experienced this at one point in their smoking career, right, Phil?
I agree.
And it's very difficult, especially when you have a partner that smokes, and let's say you try vaping. It becomes even very more difficult. Obviously that smoking is going to kill you. I mean, at this point, not going to kill you. Most likely will, but it's going to cause some health issues to you. If at 2018 you don't know that, then there's nothing I can do about that. But we have enough data out there, and all the findings that we've had in the last 20, 30 years of scientific advancement to let you know that it's bad for you. Also, I saw myself as unhealthy when I was smoking. There is absolutely no doubt, especially when I was getting into my late 30s, when I decided to make the switch. I felt like I was going down a very bad path, especially with kids and my wife and all that, and seeing that my dad died from cigarettes as well too. I felt, my blood pressure was going up. I was having a difficult time breathing. I couldn't exercise. Overall, my health was really, really bad. So that's when I made the decision to try to seek some way to quit smoking.
Yeah, I was pretty much the same way. I mean, I'm still battling weight. I'll probably battle weight my entire life. But
you look good, buddy.
No, thanks, brother. So my problems were upper respiratory tract infections. I would get them 4 or 5 a year. Shortness of breath. And the one thing too that I always remember this was, especially after the nightclub, being in a smoke filled nightclub and smoking just like a pack and a half, two packs a night, never mind a day. And then you get up the next morning and you take that first deep breath of the day, and you can't fill your lungs up because there's so much pain. Yeah. That is something that I experienced all the time. Not to mention my father had a heart attack when he was 36 years old. Thank God he's still with us today. My grandfather had an artificial heart valve. You could actually hear him ticking like a clock. So I knew that if I didn't change something, that bad things were going to start happening to me. So when I quit, when I went to vaping, just the things that I noticed, the sense of smell comes back, the sense of taste comes back, your breath comes back. You could vape your lungs out. You get up the next morning, you take that first deep breath, and there's no pain. And the one thing that I've said this before, the one thing that was so measurable is since I have been vaping, I haven't had a single upper respiratory tract infection. So, those are some really noticeable improvements.
And of course, full disclaimer, we're not doctors. We are just sharing our experiences with you as well, too. But I think it's very, very important to get across. Here's a very interesting thing as we're moving along in this presentation. Once again, most smokers believe that nicotine causes cancer. This is a huge misconception, folks. This is a huge misconception that's been passed down from tobacco control and people in the public health sector that have linked nicotine to the harmful ingredient in cigarettes, which is absolutely not true. And if you look at the chart itself here, you're going to see Brazil, France, Greece. The red is actually, the answers that gives you lung cancer, that nicotine causes lung cancer. And you can see in every case, in most cases of all these countries, that red, is predominantly the number one answer. Of course, the rest of them, heart disease, throat cancer, and so forth. But lung cancer is not caused by nicotine. And this is a huge, huge misconception that people will, in us, we have to do a better job as vapers and as activists and advocates, we have to do a better job of relaying that information to you, the smoker, and of course to those that don't smoke and vape, that look at us vaping and see this vapor cloud coming out of our mouths and immediately connect that with smoking and nicotine and dying. Right? There's that Illuminati of people and the way that their brain has been trained in the last 20, 30 years, Phil.
You know what? That's probably one of the biggest negatives of vaping from a social perspective, is that vaping looks like smoking. And in most cases, especially with cloud chasers, it looks a lot worse than smoking. But it's looks, folks, looks. You have to find the information behind what the looks are. You have to find the science behind what the looks are. And it turns out that it might look worse or as bad as smoking, and it is certainly not.
I got a message on both me and Phil got a message on Facebook the other day from Tiffany, and I just want to read it briefly because you as a smoker might be experiencing this as well too, or you might have experienced.
Oh yeah.
I'll take away the bad words, but she had an ER doctor tell her that she needs to quit vaping immediately, that there is no scientific evidence available, and that there are 20-somethings dropping dead every day because of it. She had this experience with an ER doctor, and I'm sure that you have come across some doctors that may have given you that same information. There is now, today, as of 5/8/2018, undisputable fact that the e-cigs and vaping is at least 95% less harmful than smoking. There's just no way that those facts can be denied. This is scientific proof. So as a consumer, as a vapor, or even as a smoker, if you do have a medical professional try to sway you away from trying vaping as an alternative to smoking, maybe you should sway away from them being your medical doctor. There's various reasons that I'm not going to get into very details today about it, but there is enough evidence for you to do your own research or look at the Smoker Show and the slides that we have up on tasteyourjuice.com to give you more research information. And of course, we're always promoting this as an alternative, right? So your doctor might suggest the patches and the gums and the lozenges and everything that's out there as well too. We are not you against trying that, even though the you'll see here later on the slides under 6% success rate with those products, but it does work for some. Here is another option for you folks. This is all that vaping is. So as a smoker, don't be discouraged if you've tried those products and you have failed, because chances are with vaping and with the current statistics that we have, your chances of quitting smoking will increase tenfold if you try vaping over those other products.
Yeah, and let's not forget that the doctor who said that probably turned around and got a kickback from the Chantix and the patch and
Most
the
likely.
and gum companies too, right?
Most likely.
Go ahead.
No. Finish your thought.
Yeah, the other thought. So I always keep my eye on the chat here, and I see a comment here from David that DIY is the only way to go. Folks, DIY is a way to go. It's not the only way to go. And I know there's a lot of people out there who do DIY, and people who do DIY, they're not afraid of flavor bans, and they're not afraid of the potential bans that we're seeing. If you do that, please stay in the fight. Okay, stay in the fight, because if you say the flavor ban isn't going to affect me, I DIY, I find that to be an extremely selfish comment. Okay. Because my mother is not going to DIY.
Yeah.
My brother is not going to DIY. My wife is not going to DIY. So there are a lot of people out there, who need access to flavors and pre-mixed e-liquids. It's very, very important. So let's not be selfish. Let's not think about how we do things. Let's think about the ways that smokers need things to be done, okay? Because, let's keep in mind what smoking is. You take a stick out of a box and you light it on fire. It's pretty simple, right? It's pretty simple. So we need those simple methods, and we need those pre-mixed e-liquids, and we need those flavors available on the market to help transition smokers into vaping. I think that's very important.
Also, there's not one thing that's best in vaping. There is not one best tank. There is not one best DIY. There is not one best liquid. That's not how vaping works. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of products, and there's various ways that you can vape and stay off cigarettes. There is not. If there was one perfect thing for everybody, nobody would be smoking anymore. So moving along, I want to show you this slide here. Again, a very, very interesting perspective on this. Most people, most smokers, believe that vaping is just as harmful as cigarettes. And interestingly enough, here in the United States, 55% believe that it's less harmful, but a combined 45% equally or more harmful. That number is just astonishing to me. That 45, almost half of smokers today believe that vaping is just as harmful as smoking. And once you remove combustion from any equation, and that doesn't go just for cigarettes, it goes for weed, it goes for other forms of vaporization as well too. Once you remove combustion, you remove the majority of harm of the equation of delivering nicotine to your body. You don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to have a PhD degree to be able to understand common sense. Combustion and the inhalation of smoke is what causes the most damage when we're talking about nicotine delivery. So I would like to see that information again as we're moving along. I would like to see some of that information become a little bit more widely available from the people that are the anti-smoking people, the people that are in public health, to be able to educate the consumer to be able to make more wise choices.
Right. You know, if you ever see a bad study, always ask yourself, did that study compare what they're finding bad to the similar stuff in a cigarette? Okay. Because if they don't compare them, I don't think it's a valid study.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let me move along here. Just a couple more points to touch on this this presentation. Obviously, kind of shows you the influence of smokers in the middle, and then you have all these, consumer groups, insurers, regulators, caregivers around, and of course the innovators down here, which is of course the speaking about the vapor products as well too. This talks a little bit about the foundation and what they're trying to do. Again, this is a newly formed foundation that aims to eliminate combustible tobacco over the next 20 years. But of course, the innovation to improve the efficacy, because this is the gap. The gap is the efficacy of what we have available today. Prime example for you smokers, only 3 to 6% of unassisted quit attempts are successful. Definitely, I fall into that category of being unsuccessful with the current products that were available to me at the time. So obviously we need to get into the stage of where we're going to have over 50%. So given we're going to give somebody a vapor product to try out, right? We're also going to give them the support that they need. We need to give them the products, the right nicotine levels, all that combined. We need to get to the level that 50% and above, and we're not there yet. We're not there yet, folks. With all the innovation of vaping that we have, we are not in that 50% range yet of efficacy, nowhere near with NRT, right? But not even with vaping, which means that we have still a lot of work to do using data and feedback and innovation and new products that are going to come out in the market that are going to help smokers transition and very, very important. Anything that you want to add there, Phil?
Yeah, I'd like to add something. What is that little on your windscreen?
Yeah.
What is that little piece of plastic that's sticking up? Right.
It's not a plastic. It's just two. It has. You're so OCD. It has these two little I don't know, horns, I guess you'd call them. It's just the design of the windscreen.
It's bothering the hell out of me. Can you take care of that for the next show?
Well, I would have to use a Dremel on it to cut its metal.
whatever it takes, man. Just make sure that's fixed for the next show, okay?
So once again here, we want to get some more grants. Unfortunately, the only people that are getting grants now are people like Stanton Glantz and all these anti-tobacco people that are trying to, obviously, they just believe in quit and die, which does not work as well too. Maybe we should offer some incubators, innovation prizes, patent pools, and so forth to try to improve the innovation as well too. Interestingly enough, 80% of smokers live in low and middle income countries, which makes vaping even more difficult. Keep in mind, when we're talking about countries like China, a pack of cigarettes is 50 cents.
Yeah,
50 cents. So that's a hard sell if you're going to get somebody set up with a $40, $50 starter kit in liquid, right? Russia, the same way. India, the same way. Even more so in African countries that are very, very low income, and cigarettes are so cheap, yet still very, very profitable for the governments as well, too. So take that into perspective when we're talking about innovation and how we're going to be able to come up with products that are going to be inexpensive and, of course, satisfying for the smokers. Male smoking prevalence by country. Obviously more males smoke in the more what do they call it? The more technologically advanced countries across the world. So excuse me, opposite. In the less developed countries, more male smoke. There's more male smokers. I'm not quite haven't gotten into this slide as far as the axis is concerned. Again, here, low and middle income interests. For example, in India, they make smoking affordable to the poorest. So that's something that we have to take into consideration when we're talking about innovating. I know I'm kind of going through this pretty fast because some of it's not, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to you guys. But I do want to bring this slide up as well too. Okay, so us in the vaping industry and as people that do these shows and talk about vaping in publicly, not enough is being talked about this. 33 million tobacco farmers in the world, and what are we going to do to be able to replace that as well too? Now, for you as a smoker, you might not care, but you have to understand why there's a big pushback against vaping, and just put in perspective in your head. I don't want these to be the issues that are stopping you from trying vaping. You should try vaping to better your health. But there is a global push against vaping from various public health groups out there. And, of course, interests, shareholders, companies. There is a country, I forget what country Mr. Gardner, Dr. Gardner brought up, but there is a country where 98% of the gross capita, small country in Africa, 98% of the gross capita of that entire country comes from tobacco farming. So you can understand that if everybody quits smoking and we don't replace these jobs or this economic structure that has been built, that people will starve and die, and economies will drop as well too. So go ahead, Phil.
That's just tobacco farmers, right?
Right.
So that doesn't even take into account the cancer cases that can be reduced should every smoker today switch to an electronic cigarette. Keeping you sick and not curing you and keep treating you, and cancer, these are all big businesses. This is all big money, right? And sometimes you have to wonder where the goal is. Do our governments, do they truly care about our health, or do they care about how deep their pockets are? I hate to say that, but when we're in the thick of this, it always seems to come down to the almighty dollar and not necessarily keeping you healthy.
I see a comment from Mowgli, grow cannabis instead. Great. I don't care what they grow, as long as we're able to replace that income for them or finding even growing tobacco that can be used for our products as well too, because our nicotine comes from tobacco mostly, right? It is a different crop that will have to be implemented in that country. By crop, I mean it's a different type of leaf tobacco that nicotine that is extracted for vapor products and NRT products comes from. It's just a higher yield nicotine that you can't smoke in that leaf. It's just being used to extract nicotine from it. So even if we're replacing those crops with nicotine that can be used for vapor products and other products out there as we're moving into a smoke-free world, I think that would be great. For more information, you can visit the foundation at smokefreeworld.org, and you can get some more information about this up-and-coming new organization that has a lot of money to do a lot of good, and hopefully they'll be able to benefit you, the smokers. So,
hey, Dimitri.
Yeah.
Two things. Number one, the phone lines, are they up?
Absolutely, they are.
Okay, and are they working? More important.
Absolutely, they are.
Okay. And thing number two, when your face is in just the right position, it looks like that little thing is going up your nose sometimes.
It's driving you crazy, isn't it?
It's driving, yeah.
Scratch my arms out.
You got to fix that.
I don't know. I'll try to. I just got this little pop filter because the other one was too big and it was just really annoying. So
do you really need one on that mic?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, all right.
I like to talk, especially when I do smoke-free radio. I like to get up like really close to it. So sometimes
your voice sounds a little sexier, like Barry White type thing.
No, it just pops sometimes. Like when I get into my rants and stuff like that, I like to get up right up in the mic, and then I might just my voice escalates automatically being Greek, and so
your rants are fun.
Yeah, so I need that. But anyway, let's take just a brief break. Look at that. Nice little product that these two sexy Mediterranean guys have designed. And we're going to be right back.
What is up, vapers? Today we're going to give you a brief overview of the Zenith X 𝗏𝗡𝗡 kit, the third edition in the platform series collaboration between Innokin, Busardo, and the Vaping Greek. The new Zenith platform kit puts an ultra compact and extremely versatile 75-watt device right in the palm of your hand. With an onboard internal 2000 mAh LiPo battery, 2 amp micro USB quick charging support, and Innokin's integrated vape wall charging technology, this kit is always ready when you need it. The new 𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗡 is the perfect fit for most popular atomizers, with its fully upgraded and completely flush 24mm 510 connection. For those advanced users, you can vape with confidence, using the onboard temperature control function with dry hit protection. Paired with the Zenith MTL atomizer and high milligram e-liquid or nic salt, any given user can enjoy over a full day of temperature controlled vaping. The Zenith tank also comes with 2 different coil heads to tailor the vaping experience to your exact preference. Included is a 1.6 ohm Kenthal coil for a cooler vape at lower wattages, and a 0.8 ohm Kenthal coil for a slightly warmer vape at higher wattages. This kit is available in both black and white finish options, along with a 4ml or 2ml TPD compliant tank. If you'd like to pick one up today, please check out the link in the description below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.
I love how everybody's commenting on the flat brim of the guy. I really don't know what to tell you. Look at the product. Forget about the flat brim. There you go.
You know what? You know what Innokin should do? Innokin should do flat brim guy.
Yeah.
And Innokin should have like another like professional guy in a suit. You know what I mean? Like market. Why not market to both crowds?
When we go to China, that's what we're gonna do.
Especially
We're
with
gonna
a
shoot
product
a
like
beast.
that.
Today we're
right?
going to
Why
give you a
not?
brief
Why not?
overview of the
See,
Zenith
because some people like. Let's be
kit.
honest. Let's be
The
honest.
third
Let's be
edition in the
truthful.
platform
Some people are
series
going to look at that and you
collaboration
see what's
between
happening,
Innokin,
right?
Busardo,
Well,
and
look at this guy,
The
flat
new
brim
Zenith
guy.
platform
Right?
kit
We
puts an
criticize-
ultra-compact and extremely
We criticize
versatile
even
75-watt
the
device
company
right
that
in the palm of
manufactures
your
our
hand.
products, folks.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
Right.
right. There's no.
2000 mAh LiPo
There's
battery,
no-
2
why
amp
not-
micro
why not
USB quick charging
market
support, and
to
Innokin's integrated
that
vape wall
crowd
charging technology.
and
This kit is
other
always
crowds,
ready when you need it.
Right?
The new
because some
𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗡 is
people
the
are going to
perfect
look
fit
at
for
that
most
and they're going to be
popular
turned
atomizers.
off
With its
instantly
fully
by flat
upgraded
brim
and
guy.
completely
Oop,
flush
hold on a second. Hold on a second.
24mm
Hold on a
510
second. Hold on a
connection.
second.
For those advanced users, you can
we
vape with confidence.
All right, we should be good now.
Using the onboard
that was
temperature
right in your
control
nose that
function. with
No,
dry
it was
Paired with
the
Zenith
video was
MTL
looping in the
atomizer
background. I had
and
to
Oh,
cut
you
it off.
did that
milligram
again?
e-liquid
Did you
or
really?
I'm
nic
So
sorry, buddy.
Any
It
given
wasn't
user
my
can
fault. It
enjoy
was
over a full
looping. But
day
anyway,
of
it's been
temperature
taken care of
controlled
now.
Did they
vaping.
hear
So,
anything
The
that he
Zenith
said?
tank also
So,
comes with 2 different
no,
coil
no,
heads
one
to
more time.
tailor the
Go.
vaping
So what we were
experience to your
saying is,
exact preference.
we saw
is
the
a
comments about flat
1.6
brim
ohm
guy.
Kenthal
Why
coil
not,
for
like
a cooler
Innokin
vape
and other
at lower
manufacturers,
wattages, and
put
a
out
0.8 ohm
a
Kenthal
video
coil
like
for a
that
slightly warmer
with not
vape
only
at higher
flat brim
wattage.
guy, but we can
This
also
kit is
do
available in
tattooed
both
covered
black
guy,
and white
and we
finish
can also
options,
do maybe
along with a
professional guy,
4ml
professional adult business guy. Why not? Why? I
Nope.
think that's.
Hold on a second. They say it's still running. I really don't know why it's running.
Oh my god.
All right. Let's see if that fixed it now. Hey, Mooch, what's up?
Hello, Mooch. Is it fixed?
All right.
Don't hear it now. Okay, yay. What happened? Why does that keep happening? Can you hear me?
Does it look like I know why it's happening? But you're more than happy to hire a new producer, my friend. I really want to get rid of this job.
You're doing a terrific job, man. Let me just tell you. All we got to do is fix that looping issue. But so what we were saying, this will be the third time now, is, when that video was playing, we saw comments right away. Oh, look at this guy and flat brim guy. And I think it would be in Innokin's and maybe other vaping companies' best interest to not only have flat brim guy promote a product, but maybe also tattoo guy promote a product, and then maybe also professional guy, promote a product. Maybe a little bit older, a little bit more mature, a little bit dressed up, a little bit more, promoting a product. Especially a product like that. This way, we can maybe find a target audience that we can appeal to. right? And not just leave people out.
I totally agree. And by the way, just because Innokin manufactures our products does not mean that we're going to be gentle on them, or any company. I mean, we have to be truthful and honest about that as well, too. I mean, here, obviously, the key is the product, but we get it. In this competitive vaping world, you have to kind of, do what everybody's out there. I still think that there is that door still wide open for us to try to reach more mainstream smokers. And I think that's what we're attempting to do. And when we go to China, I promise you that we are going to shoot a new commercial to appeal to everybody. How about that? We'll have 2 commercials.
Look, Rob is he's volunteering for old bald guy commercial.
That's great. Fantastic. We'll do more of that. Trust me, we will do more of that. It's just a matter of time and a matter of trying to change the perception of vaping. And we're doing our little piece, maybe one smoker show at a time. Oh, that's another.
We need soccer moms. We need soccer moms to promote these products too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we do.
Everybody. So it appeals to everybody.
We do. Michalis Papaliondiu can you share some studies with us so we can have to read, please? TasteYourJuice.com. They're all there, guys. All the studies are up there. TasteYourJuice.com. You can look at the episode replays, and Phil has done a great job of putting links and slides up on there as well, too. What are you vaping, Phil, by the way?
Liquid-wise or device-wise?
Both.
Okay, so liquid, I've got 5 pawns in this one. What is it? Their Symmetry. This is going to be a Zenith tank on a Chroma. And here I've got some of Andrew's Peach Tea. That is going to be an Aries on a Proton.
I have a bottle of your Peach Tea. You left it in my bag.
No, I asked you for it, and
but I
forgot to give it back to me. That's actually what happened. Really.
Well, we did go out in Germany Saturday night, and Phil had cut a few drinks, and then we forgot it in my bag. But I still have it, so I'll give it to you when I see you. I was
next. Completely sober. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I put together the new K-Fan that we got in Germany, so I'm vaping that with my Niquid Sublime. I'm also vaping from the Vape Shop, the menthol, which is my all day, and the Vapor Giant M5. And then I'm vaping on your face. Your face!
Yeah, there we go.
I'm vaping the 5 Ponds 𝗘𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗘𝗖𝗛. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It's part of the new blue line. And, I know you've tried all the new blind. It's a sea salt artisan type thing. And we're going to see a video here with an interview that we did in Germany. It's an artisan sea salt line, right? And there's a chocolate-covered potato chip, which I personally didn't like for my flavor taste. I thought that was going to be the most popular one. And it might be for various tastes. I really like the sea salt apple caramel.
The apple one, yeah, for sure.
I vaped it all, and I don't have any more. So now I'm trying the third one, which is kind of like a melon menthol. I kind of dig it. I'm a menthol guy as well, too. But I'm vaping that in the Zenith and the wonderful Taste Your Juice Cool Fire.
How cool is that?
I have to look at your face every time I vape. I don't know how cool that is.
No, actually, you can't. You would have to vape it like this to actually see my face.
All right, so let's go ahead and play this clip. Anything that you just want to say before the clip? Kind of set it up for us, Phil?
No, so this is actually one of the interviews that we did in Germany. So this clip in its entirety is going to wind up in the Germany video. And I just stopped by the 5 Pawns booth to talk to Gavin and to because I had to try chocolate covered sea salt potato chip. I really did. And we're going to talk to Gavin here. And again, this video is going to be a part of the German video. And that's it. But let's light up those phone lines while this plays, because we're going to go to Q&A after this.
215-383-5752, 215-383-5752. Press 1 when you hear the British lady speaking. And as the queue grows, I'll just take you on based on hold time. Make sure you turn off your computer or wherever you're listening to the show from so we don't get any feedback. So here we go. Here is Mr. Phil Busardo interviewing Gavin from 5 Pawns.
Hey folks, Busardo from the Hall of Vape, Germany, Stuttgart, 2018. Gavin, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. First of all, let me start by thanking you very
choppy.
much for the sponsorship. on the Smoker Show.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure. You guys are doing great work, and you're getting the message out there. We need to convert more smokers. That's
Absolutely.
what we all got into this industry for.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. We need to get back focused to converting smokers.
Absolutely, and I mean that's why we called it the Smoker Show.
right,
That's
let me
why
just
we're doing it,
fix
because
that
I think
really
as an
quick.
industry,
I can
we
do
continue
that.
to market the vapors, and we forget
Okay,
about the
yeah,
smokers.
Yeah.
everybody's complaining that it's
And we're always
choppy.
trying to
I think
think
it's
of
probably
new ways,
because
Yeah.
because it's
I'm
easy to reach the
broadcasting
vapor,
to
and not so
you.
easy to reach the smoker.
True.
Let's see if we can
And you
fix
guys
this
have
real
always
quick.
kind of been focused
Sorry,
on
guys.
I can do that.
and you have a certain look,
We're
and,
trying
and
again.
I respect everything that you
The
guys have
Gavin
done
interview,
from
take
day
two.
one,
Thank you.
because you've maintained. Has it been
Nope.
difficult for you to
No, we're-
maintain
Hold on a
and do
second.
business?
It has been at times, but when you have a clear vision and you have a real passion about what you do,
All right, I'm going to stop doing this to you here.
Okay, stop doing that to me there.
I think I know why it's doing that.
Okay.
So let's see if that fixes it.
you continue to forge forward and knowing that what you're trying to bring to the market and what you've tried to create is sustainable. And that's really what we started with creating unique,
why it's doing that.
complex flavors that really were more for the adult smoker than the vapor. You know, we don't use sugars or sweeteners or sucralose, things like that,
There we
to
go.
enhance the flavor. We really try to build our flavors from how the human palate recognizes taste, the 5 tastes, hence 5 𝗏𝗏s. And by doing so, we believe that flavor always needs to be first. Our original line was a 50-50 blend, and that's because you need to put that flavor first, and 50 PG, 50 VG. We've switched a little bit and have been able to achieve that in some higher VG blends with some tricks, but it's been an exciting road without a doubt.
Awesome. And so you talked about these tricks, and I know you have a new line out, and I tried the line, and if you haven't tried the line, please do, because it's really, really unique. Talk to me about the new line and some of these tricks that you're talking about.
Very good. The new line is the Blue Series by 5 𝗏𝗏s. And what we've done in the Blue Series is, rather than utilize sweeteners or sucralose to increase the flavor profile or put the flavor at a higher level, we've utilized Artisan sea salts. And if you go back and think about food, when you put some salt on a tomato, a piece of chocolate, a caramel, it just makes that flavor pop in your mouth when you actually taste it, right? Very difficult to do that in a 70-30 blend, a higher VG blend. If you're not using sweeteners, it's harder to bring that flavor forward because PG carries the flavor and VG is really more producing the vapor. So most people that have a higher VG line are utilizing sweeteners, and they'll add a few of the flavor profiles, add some sweetener to get that one flavor to pop. Where we utilize different chemistry and realize that if we can do the same thing with Artisan sea salts, much as in culinary does it, we're now going to be able to offer a higher VG ratio, which our customers have been asking for a long time, without using sweeteners. So this is a sea salted line of liquids. We have 3 now. We have 2 more coming out in the future. All of this was registered prior to 8/8, grandfathered, sold, the whole 9 yards. And we've taken a little while to launch it because last year was kind of a chaotic year in the industry, so to speak. So we found that 2018 would be a good time to launch this flavor. It's very unique, very different. Nobody in the world's really doing a series of sea salted flavors at a higher VG that are all really reminiscent of what 5 𝗏𝗏s has been come to known for. Complex, unique flavors, utilizing the best ingredients in the industry.
And what are the 3 flavors in the sea salt line that you have available now?
So currently 𝗃𝗏𝗏, or 𝗃𝗏𝗏, depending on how you say it, which is going back and forth in the office, is a sea salted and minted melon. So you get a nice creamy melon with a little bit of the mint. It's not too overpowering, and you actually taste the salt on your lips and your tongue when you vape it.
And I can confirm that. I tried it. You actually do taste it. Yeah.
You do taste the salt.
You
It's
do.
amazing. Then the other flavor we've launched is Magnus. And now Magnus is a really good flavor. It's a sea salted caramel apple with peanut. So it's kind of like your old caramel apple that's dipped and then added peanut with a sea salt flavor to it that enhances that flavor of the caramel and the apple inside the actual vape.
And of the line, of the new blue line, that is my favorite.
That's
I
the one
really, you like
Magnus is a
that
strong
too?
flavor.
Yeah.
Here in the show, it's interesting. We're getting a gamut of people who are liking all 3. The last one I'm telling you about is Rodney's just genius creation. This flavor,
Genius
really,
or crazy creation?
really is amazing. Well, I think most geniuses are a little bit crazy, right? This is a sea salted milk chocolate covered potato chip. And I know that it sounds odd, and when I tell it the flavor profile to people here at the show, they kind of step back and go, really, potato chip with chocolate and sea salt? And they can picture these individually, but blended, it's hard for them. When they taste it, seeing the expression on their face is amazing, because you have this wow factor of, I actually taste this smooth milk chocolate, and we know chocolate's hard to do. Not overpowering in the chocolate. You taste the salt, and then you get this aftertaste of the potato chip. It blends so well together. And what we've heard most about these is they're all different, they're all unique. There's nothing like that at the show, like these flavors, because there's so many flavors that are heavily sweetened here at the show, that these are standout, unique, high VG flavors, different than anything in the industry. But the key to it is they've all said they're very blended. They're well balanced. There's nothing that is overpowering. You can actually taste each of these notes throughout the flavor. And that's what we've always tried to do with our original series, the Grandmasters, the Castle Longs. You actually taste every note. We're a flavor company first. That's what we believe in. We believe in converting smokers and creating an adult product that really appeals to helping people convert, but also really building a loyalty around the Five Ponds brand and what we're trying to create.
How do you see the future of vaping in the States? I mean, are you guys working on PMTA? I have a feeling that you plan on being around, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about that a little.
Yeah, the PMTA process is interesting, right? Before we had these deadlines extended. We had plans in place, contracts in place, companies were starting to do the work for us. We were already down that path, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars already down that path. And then they removed it and said, okay, we have 5 more years type of a thing. So we've continued with our plan, continued some of the research that we were doing early on, studies that we haven't started, we put a hold off on, because we don't know what Gottlieb's going to do in the new commission and what they're going to actually do in changing this. We don't believe it's going to be as stringent. There's definitely going to be a lot of hoops you have to jump through to become an actual not notified, but a marketable product and get your marketing authority from the FDA. But we don't know what that's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be similar to what the TPD's done, where it's more of a notification system, or if they're actually going to make you do all of the aerosol testing and, you know, the multiple replicates and all the different use studies. And I mean, when you talk about it, it's still millions and millions of dollars, but potentially it'll be a little bit less, and maybe the burden of proof won't be as high, because they're doing a lot of research right now that I've been told they know this product. They know it's healthier than tobacco products, without a doubt. They know that it's on the continuum of risk. They don't want to place it there where in that continuum yet, but they know it's healthier. So I think they're going to make it easier for companies that have been doing it the right way, that haven't been appealing to kids, going after the child market, that have been really trying to do something that changes people's mindsets about combustible tobacco, and it gives them an alternative of a product that we know in the industry, we believe it's healthier. The FDA is now, through their own research, I believe, recognizing that it's healthier. Europe already puts out studies that it's 95% healthier. So it's starting to change the mindset, I think, of consumers and the FDA. So we hope that they make it a little bit less stringent, but we do know it's still going to be a fairly difficult task.
Right. Are you concerned about the fact that FDA is looking into flavors at this point now?
Absolutely. I mean, the good thing is that they know flavors help people convert. It's important, if anybody hasn't taken the surveys that have been posted about flavoring, they need to take those surveys, because that really is something that could be so detrimental to our industry, that if you really have no flavor, it could push a lot of people back to smoking cigarettes. And you need to go out, talk to your congressman, talk to your lobbyist, talk to anybody you can talk to, write letters, do the surveys. We mandate everybody in our company is doing this all the time. We've sent out the blast to other companies, please take the flavor survey. They need more information that lets people know, the government I should say, know that without flavoring, they're going to have a lot of people converting back to tobacco products, and that's harmful to people's health. Awesome. Let's go save millions of lives. Let's not hurt something that's been created. Now granted, it's kind of a crazy industry and we need to control ourselves definitely better. But when there are controls in place, this is going to save millions of lives. I'm 100% dead fast believe in that, and that's why Five Ponds is here, to save lives and to promote adult products to the vaping industry.
Awesome, Gavin, thank you so much.
All right, sir.
Lots of luck
Phil.
with the new flavors.
Well, a lot of respect for what you and Dimitris are doing here. I know
Who's that?
I know nobody can see him here, but he's over here.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah,
this guy over here. But really respect you guys. You've done a lot for our industry over the years, and we really are proud to support you and everything you've done for us.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
check them out. 5 Pawns and the new blue line.
Check out the new Busardo Dimitri tank. It's a great product.
I did not pay him to say that. I did not ask him to say that. He just said it, okay? But do check out the new 5 Pawns, the blue line, the sea salt. I'm telling you, it's crazy. You're gonna actually get the salt on your tongue. And like, I vaped the potato chip yesterday.
Yeah.
And like, there's no way it's gonna taste like a potato chip. It tastes like a potato chip. And like you said, that's Crazy Rodney in a bottle.
On the expression of people's faces. It's
Yeah.
awesome to see.
All right, so check them out, 5 Pawns. Here we are at the Hall of Vape Germany, Stuttgart, 2018 with 5 Pawns.
All right, and you can say what you want about 5 Pawns, but they definitely represent our industry in a fantastic way, and professionalism, very well spoken, and they truly believe in tobacco harm reduction. And I think that's very, very important. And I wish more companies would follow that.
Agreed. And can you turn back the stream, because we both look frozen, at least on my screen.
Looks fine to me.
Does it?
Everything is fluid here. Oh, no. It's. I told you that I shut down the. There you go. That should take care of it right now. I know what you're talking about now. You're talking about
my screen.
Yeah, you're not talking about the stream. So
no, not
make
the
sure
stream,
you get your technical lingo down before you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And by the way, folks, we're not technical producers. I just want to put that out there. So stuff like that happens. You know, we're just a couple of vapors trying to help, and I'm doing all this by myself. So cut me some slack.
I absolutely agree. And by the way, if you do want to see the non-choppy version of that video, that's going to be in the Germany video that I put together.
Yes, on tasteyourjuice.com. I do want to do a giveaway. If you remember in the last show that we did, we had requested that you leave a comment.
Hey, Dimitri.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm still frozen. You used to be moving, but I'm not.
Yes, you are frozen.
Yeah.
I can fix that right now. Now you're moving.
Let me see.
Now you're moving, buddy.
Okay. I don't see me moving on the screen.
You're moving.
I am?
Trust me. You're moving.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm moving over there. Like when I look over there.
Can you just stop busting my balls and let's just do this? All right. So let me clear this over here. I am going to bring up a YouTube random comment picker. And what we had asked for you is just leave us a comment on the replay. Let's open up a discussion. We have 5 kits to give away. I'm going to throw some liquid inside. I will handle the shipping on this one. Phil will take care of the next one. Okay. And you're going to get a star kit random from our sponsors here with some liquid. And the whole point of this giveaway is for you, number one, if you're a dual user, go ahead and use it. If you like it, go ahead and use it. If you're not going to use it, though, pass it on to a smoker. All we ask from you, and we know this is very difficult to control, but hopefully you'll be able to play along, is that if you do give it to a smoker, maybe take a picture, send it to us, maybe bring them on the show, have them call in, let's talk about the experience and what they encountered trying to switch to vaping, why it worked, why it didn't work. This is the kind of data and the feedback that these giveaways are meant to do. They're not there for just to give away a $20, $30 device, folks. It really isn't. And if that's what you're participating for, then may God be with you. But as it stands, this is what we're trying to do. So switching over to the screen here. Oops, let me try to fix that a little bit better. I can do that, can't I? I think I can. So we have the URL here, and we're going to pick 5 different winners. We have filtered out the duplicate comments. And what you're going to have to do, Phil, and everybody that is listening, if you do win, you are going to have to send a message to me here on YouTube, youtube.com/vapinggreek, because I have to have the same name that you participated in the YouTube comments as well, too. So just send me your name, your address, and I'll get this out to you sometime this week. Did I make everything understood correctly, Phil?
I think you did a really good job. I know one of the things that really bothered you about the giveaways is we didn't want to become just another giveaway show. It's really important to me. It's really important to Dimitri that these products do wind up in the hands of smokers. That's why we want to do these giveaways.
Or even a dual user vapor. I'm telling you, there's a lot of them out there, and you can't get over the hump. This will have high milligram nicotine with it. Use it yourself. And don't be afraid to call in and say you're a dual user. There's no shame in being a dual user. So just anything that we can do to help, this is what we're looking for is data. So if you get this and you pass it on, or if you use it, just call in and let us know. Plus, it appreciates our sponsors appreciate it as well too, because they can get good feedback about their products as well too. Okay, which is very, very important. All right, so here we go. The first wiener is
Wiener, the big wiener.
Mike Berg. Mike Berg with the comment, "Great show, guys." Well, thank you, Mike. We appreciate that.
Good job,
Mike Berg. All right, let's pick another wiener.
Bill, please take these down for me.
Yes,
for
yes,
us.
Bill. Bill, please work for your pay,
Yeah.
which is 0.
We don't pay him anything, do we?
No, we don't, of course.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
JG. Sounds like a rapper. JG. Any new vapors, former menthol smokers, I recommend trying 12 milligram Brain Freeze by Naked 100 in an MTL tight draw air setup. You're welcome. Good job. There you go. We got some recommendations from a rapper, JG.
What up? JG in the house.
What up, homie? Third winner is Jeff Hare that said, "Happy birthday, Phil."
Aw, thank you, Jeff. That's so
Really,
nice.
really, really sweet.
Congratulations. You are a big wiener.
Really?
Hey, Carolyn, was that really you working the Five Pawns booth? Was that really Carolyn? I saw she commented, because Carolyn seemed to be much more popular than Gavin in that video.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's another wiener, and that would be Dozer. And Dozer says, "Happy birthday, Phil. I would like to convert my grandma and my aunt. My grandma has been a smoker for over 50 years, and my aunt has smoked at least 30 years, and my aunt is always asking to help her. She really wants to quit, and I know we can help her quit, and I can explain everything about vaping to her." Well, Dozer, I'll send you 2 kits. One for your aunt.
I was just gonna say, send Dozer 2 kits. You beat me to it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we'll send Dozer 2 kits, one for the grandma and one for the aunt, and please follow back with some feedback and commentary for us. And the last wiener is Dave B, another rapper. JG and Dave B in the house. Love what you guys do, but I'm worried that the vast majority of the time you're preaching to the choir. How do we get smokers to watch these shows? Well, I don't know, Dave. How about you just call some smokers to join us and watch the show? Yes, there is a lot of preaching to the choir, but there is a lot, as you can see, even from some commentary, there's a lot of misinformation from within the vaping industry as well, too. So even if you're just a vapor, maybe you can get some information from this show to pass along to smokers. And we hope that you do appreciate the effort that we're trying to do here. All right. We're only limited on how we can reach smokers. And I think just simply from the fact calling it the Smoker Show, we'll be able to reach just a few.
Yep. And, help us out, guys. If you know smokers, please send them to the show. It doesn't have to be the live show. It could be the replay up on Taste Your Juice. The replay's up on YouTube. We do have a playlist specifically for the Smoker Show. There is a section in the videos, in the video section on tasteyourjuice.com, specifically for the Smoker Show, that will bring up all the episodes.
The shipping, by the way, for all these giveaways is international. I don't care where you're from. If you're in India, we'll send you a kit. I don't care. We'll do it. We'll do it because we care about smokers, and it's not limited to the United States only. That's right.
And Bill Tarling has offered to pay all shipping, and we appreciate that. Yes. Bill, thank you very much. Yes.
Now you could give us a couple $1 million, and we'll go on mainstream TV and try to promote the Smoker Show as well too. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet, folks.
We're gonna need a lot more sponsors.
So we're gonna need a lot more sponsors. So the telephone lines are open: 215-383-5752 if you want to call in with any questions or comments. We certainly appreciate. I just want to double check here that we covered everything, Phil, that we had for today. Did we cover everything?
I think we covered everything. I mean, we can. You want to go a little tongue-in-cheek humor a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's time to have a little bit of humor because I'm really, really tired. I'm really jet lagged.
I am so exhausted. You have no idea. But the coffee is keeping me going right now.
But I did want to make sure that we got our episode in as we had promised. And folks, it's really, really difficult traveling. I mean, we have been going nonstop for 6 weeks now. We have gone to, I have gone to 5 different countries. You have gone to 4 different countries in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's been tough. And we have a lot more travel coming up too. We've got the event in California for e-cig Gallery. We've got potentially we're going to try to make it up to Toronto for CVE. Toronto, I don't know how we're going to do both of those. We're going to hopefully figure something out. And then of course we do have to go back to China to work with Innokin on the next batch of products too.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to remind everybody, youtube.com/vapinggreek is my YouTube. Just send me a message on there, and with your address and where you want me to and your name, your address, and I will ship it out to you. Just to clarify on the giveaway. I do want to bring up a little pod. I got this pod from one of your buddies, right?
Yeah. The I always forget his name. I always want to say it's Maurizio, but
it's
it's
like
not
Italian. He's like Italian. He's like, oh, the pod system. I was like, geez, what are you talking about? But
he always has a an espresso machine at his booth.
Yes,
always.
Yes. But this pod is a little bit different than the systems that are out there. I'm going to do a full review on it at some point. It's called the One Mini. And interestingly enough, folks, this uses regular nicotine. Now, obviously, this is based in Europe as well, too. But they offer 8 and 16 milligram nicotine. These are the little pods that come with. These are pre-filled pods. This is the little package. Got tobacco and I've got a strawberry, the 2 flavors that he gave me. And I have them both on 16 milligram here ready to go. And this is going to be live. Screw it. We'll do it live, like Bill O'Reilly said.
Not only are we doing it live, but I'm doing it blind because I still have a big, giant blank screen in front of me. So
Yeah.
I'm listening to your soothing voice.
Why do you have a black screen?
Because you're doing something wrong.
Why am I doing something wrong?
I have an absolute blank screen in front of me. I know. I can see I'm moving on YouTube because if I turn around, I can see myself on that screen back there. But this screen is completely blank. Oh, there we go. Hi, welcome back.
Such a whining guy. Jesus. I mean,
nothing
makes you happy. So I'm going to take the tobacco out first because I think these are really, really important. These are the little pods that go with them. Switch to this camera here.
Now, is that a refillable system, Dimitris?
This is not a refillable system. These are pre-filled pods. This is the tobacco. Interestingly enough, they're trying to ship these. They're bottling these in Italy. And there's always a problem with these pods is condensation, and they leak because when they go on the plane, the pressure pushes the liquid out, and even this one has a little bit of condensation on the back, and that's probably obviously because I was on the plane coming here. But
then that wouldn't be condensation. If it's leaking because of the pressure, that's not condensation.
Yes, that's what I meant to say. But in Italy, they're trying to ship these into different countries in the European countries by freight. By trucks. That way they avoid this issue that I'm having right here. Okay, you just pop the little pod there and you just suck on it. It's very, very simple.
And we would like to welcome DJ LED LOL LSB.
What's up, DJ LSB? Now this little pod system does have a little curve feature, which is something that I've been screaming for in pod systems. It gives it a little oomph at the beginning, a little more power, and then it kind of dials it down as you're going along. Give it enough heat on that coil. I think he said that these are 1.5 ohm resistance, if I'm not mistaken, right, Phil?
Right. If you had testing gear, you'd be able to measure that.
Oh, this is good. This is strawberry.
Oh, very nice. That's some good vaping, then, huh?
It's really good.
Vaping. One of the things, like we said, we found interesting on this pod system is that the nicotines that they use are Freebase nicotine, so they're not salts. And again, what were the 2 levels there? I think one was a 16, correct, and the other was a
8.
8. And I did try the 16 when I was there, and I found it extremely satisfying.
It really is. I'm really, really shocked that just with regular nicotine in this little pod system, the draw is a little bit loose. It's not very, very restricted as I would have expected it to be. Right. But the satisfaction of it is actually pretty amazing. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's something that I found even with the 𝗲𝗏𝗏, which is now the 𝗲𝗏 product. They when I was involved with the 𝗲𝗏𝗏, they had an 18. It was an 18 available, and again there. I found it very, very satisfying with an 18. And I noticed that with a lot of the pod systems, to be satisfying for me, again, the salt nicks don't really work well for me. You did have to be, I had to be personally above my normal 12, right? So that 16 or an 18 really gave me that satisfying throat hit that I was looking for.
This is the tobacco flavor now. Again, 60 milligram. I'm going to try the 8 too.
Go ahead and vape that. Very nice. I'll look at that. Very, very sexy.
Pretty good. Just enough vapor for me, to be honest with you. Boy, this really is tobacco. It tastes like an ashtray. That is a pretty impressive tobacco flavor as well too. It's authentic cigarette type, that dry Virginia type flake tobacco. It's pretty impressive. I'm going to tell you, check it out. The one, by the way, $20 for the device, right? Is that what they said?
I think that's what they said. Do they have penetration in the U.S. yet?
I don't know, but I hope they do, because this is a pretty impressive system. And again, this is not a paid endorsement by any means. It's just if it's good, it's good. The one, I think it's €20 for the device itself, and then you buy the pods separately. I'm gonna put the strawberry back on because that's tobacco. I mean, it was good. It's satisfying. It's 60 milligrams, so you see, you don't have to have salt necessarily in these pod systems. It's all about matching the right power, I think, and the right resistance and the right curve in order to give you that satisfactory vape with lower. This would probably do very, very well with 12 as well too. Anyway, telephone lines are open. You only got about 10 minutes if you want to call. Nobody's called in today. That's pretty funny. 215.
Nobody called in today?
215-335-752. But what did you want to talk about? You said you wanted to do a little tongue in cheek.
Do you have, because you're a big time reviewer again, do you have anything to measure your vaping devices with as far as weight is concerned?
I do. But since these are pod systems, I've been kind of avoiding doing that. I just basically tell you if it's light or not. For example, the Kangaroo U-boat is very, very light, and it's just like holding a cigarette in your hands. And then some other pod systems like the S8 and so forth are heavier. Okay. But I don't actually put the weight scale on there. I'm more of a feel vapor than I am a technical like you and DJ LED.
DJ LOL. You totally avoided the question. Do you have a scale or not?
No, I do. I just don't know where it's at.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Well, see, here's what I wanted to do, right?
Okay.
We've already confirmed that your sausages are not quite as big as my sausages. And I wanted to weigh them. I wanted to weigh them because I have a feeling that my sausages also weigh slightly more than your sausages. And like
I wish I could have weighed them right now. Now you're.
I really wish you could weigh your sausages, because I'm sure there's a lot of people right now that are watching this going, "What the hell is Phil talking about? And why is he holding up sausages?" So when we were in Germany, a gentleman during the Q&A asked us actually a really funny question, and people got a kick out of the question, and we got a kick out of answering the question. And it led to some comedy. The question was, how did Dimitri and I meet? And so we had a lot of fun with that. But after the Q&A was over, he came up to us and he gifted us with sausages. And since this is the Smoker Show, these sausages are twice smoked, right? Twice smoked sausages made in the authentic German tradition of preserving meats. So he gave us sausages, and he also gave us a bottle of homemade. What alcohol was it? I have it in the other room. It's
brandy, 35-year-old brandy.
35-year-old brandy, which I think is really cool. Like, I mean, we go to shows all the time, and we're given tanks and devices. But I mean, this is like from the heart. This is cool stuff. But anyway, so he handed me a package of sausages, and then he gave Dimitri a package of sausages, and I noticed right away that my sausages were slightly larger than Dimitri's sausages, and I just wanted to see if my sausages also weighed more than Dimitri.
The only reason he did that is for you to compensate for the other sausages.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think that's the case at all. But like stuff like this really does mean a lot to me. So if that gentleman is watching, we're not making fun of this. We're laughing with you, and we're having some fun with this.
I'm having your sausages for lunch tomorrow, my friend. I got them out. I got my bag today, finally.
We shouldn't do that. No, don't do that. Oh, you got your bag finally?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. No, we should try the sausages together on the Smoker Show. I mean, they're vacuum packed. They're obviously preserved.
So you want me to hold my sausages for 2 weeks before I try them? I want to try them.
Yeah, no. Hey, an aged sausage is a good sausage, my friend. So I think you could wait another 2 weeks, and we'll try the sausages together on the show.
Screw it. We'll do it live, as Bill O'Reilly says.
We'll
Got a telephone call.
Remember what he recommended. Just put it in a little bit of water, steam them a little bit,
Yep.
and then
Yes,
mustard.
sir. I remember. I've been in the restaurant business for 25 years. Thank you very much, Phil. I appreciate it.
Well, listen,
609.
Have you ever had twice smoked German sauce?
No, I have not.
All right then.
609.
Actually, the funnier show
Jesus
would be
Christ.
if we drank the brandy live on camera.
That would be funny, and we can do that as well too, but not on the Smoker Show. We'll do that on Smoke Free Radio. All right, 609. You're on the air with Phil and Demi. What's up?
Hey guys, how are you tonight?
Wonderful. How are you, my friend? What is your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm good, man. My name is Taylor, and I am calling from South Jersey, actually.
Oh, South Jersey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I've watched the show many times. I'm a big fan of you guys, and it's outstanding what you've been doing for advocacy recently. I took the survey, and that's actually part of the reason I was calling you guys to get your opinion. I had heard that with everything that's going on with the FDA, that 𝗜𝗡𝗢𝗏 has turned over part of this whole proposal for the flavor ban and everything to Big Pharma. And I wanted to know, did you hear anything about if there was any truth to that? And if so, do you think we have a shot in actually beating this whole thing?
That is a great question. And ironically enough, being in Germany, we got to ask that question a lot because I think that this is an international fight, folks. Keep in mind that other countries are looking to us what's going to happen with the FDA because it might affect the European and other countries out there as well, too, Canada, for example. And, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think flavors are going to go away. I just don't think that they're going to go away. I think that there's enough data to support that adult smokers need them to transition from vaping. In what form they're going to be around, what is going to be allowed or what is not going to be allowed, that's going to be determined based on the proposal of the final rule that they're going to come out with. Now they're just gathering data to be able to come up with this proposal rule. I personally have been really, really afraid with this comment period that 𝗜𝗓𝗏 has opened, right? But I think more so, I think they're really concerned about the marketing and some of the products that are on the market. And since that the FDA cannot take a stance on the label and the marketing, right? They have to use various agencies to do that, as we're seeing with the FTC and some of the others that we're going to see that they've announced over the couple of weeks that 𝗜𝗓𝗏 is kind of surprising us with. I think that this is what they're trying to control. So I think what's going to end up happening is there's going to be some form of a regulation on what you can and cannot have on a label, and some flavors, if not all of them, will be allowed in some form, okay? So I'm not trying to let down from the advocacy point. I just think that with all the data that I've gathered in the last couple of weeks, I think that we can do a better job of self-regulating our industry as far as the marketing or what we're putting on the label. And I think obviously the FDA will have to look into how important flavors are for adults to make the transition. All the data that we've gathered through the survey, I'm doing in Tennessee now. I'm going to submit a comment to the FDA from the Tennessee Smoke Free Association. I'm gathering data from my shops on their sales, okay? I'll just bring just a few data up here just so you guys know exactly what I'm doing. And if you're interested to do this in the state, please go ahead and do it as well too. I think it's going to be very, very beneficial. So what I'm asking my shops is to submit percentage of sales for 2018 on 5 different categories. And again, don't give me that BS. There's 100 categories of flavor. I'm just trying to keep it simple for the FDA. So my categories have been tobacco, menthol, bakery/savory, coffee can be included in that, fruits and candy and sweets, which can also include sodas and drinks and stuff like that. So 5 different categories. And just to give you an example, just from a few shops, this is Vapor Bane in Tennessee, tobacco 8%, menthol 9%, bakery savory 41%, fruits 32%, candy sweet 10%. This is another shop. This is Vintage Vapors in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tobacco 17%, menthol 14%, bakery 23%, fruits 18%, candy 28%. So in this, it's kind of replicated in kind of like in the same fashion. This is Laughing Cat Vapor, tobacco 11%, menthol 12%, bakery 15%, fruits 22%, sweet 40%. So if you combine the flavor products, it's usually between 60 and 80% of the sales of these shops By the way, these shops only sell to adults. In Tennessee, we have an 18 plus state law, and of course, we have the federal law. So the adult consumers that are going into these shops, between 60 and 80% are buying flavor products, not tobacco or menthol. So I think once all that data is gathered by the FDA, and probably with their own past study that they're doing, I think it's clearly that that flavors are very, very important to adults to switch, and I think they're going to stick around.
Well, I think that that's so huge to this industry. Part of the reason, I mean, at least for myself, I tried with cigalikes and things to quit, and I was a heavy smoker. I mean, I'm a musician, so, you know, I'm playing multiple nights a week. I'm in bars, I'm drinking and around people who are smoking. So it was something for me where not only did I enjoy smoking, but it was something I was around all the time. However, you know, me and my wife had our first child together. We had a baby girl, so that was, my father died young, so I wanted to try to make some positive changes, and obviously smoking 2 packs a day was not doing me any favors. So I tried quitting, and it didn't do anything for me. And then it was finally when I got something. I got a Southern kit. I got an Alien about a year ago. And then from there, I mean, I've gone on to rebuildables and mechanicals and stuff. Yeah. But it was once I got something like that and I got into flavors that it becomes, in the beginning, you're like, oh, I can still get the whole sensation of smoking. But it becomes something totally different, satisfying in a totally different way, being able to, and if I sit down and I have a nice glass of beer, I can pair it with a juice, or if not, I can switch it up. It's not always the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so
90 seconds.
Experience.
Yeah.
But as far as the industry is concerned, I definitely think even if they do put down any harsh regulation, this industry has proven that it will always overcome. And from the incarnation of this industry, it has always been we've always self-regulated even before it got big enough to the point where the FDA even decided that they felt they had to step in. So there's from a morality standpoint, I think we've always
60 seconds
children and underage people in general out of this industry. So I think that that would be tremendous to see. I mean, what you just said about them just trying to regulate packaging and all, if that is the end game, then there's nothing wrong with that at all, right? Because we've always shot for that to be the case. So I guess we'll see what happens. But anything that you put forward, man, I'll always share and participate in. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you so much for calling in. We certainly appreciate your comments as well, too. And this, as a smoker, I think it's very, very... By the way, 928, I see you online. Just stand by. We have some time on phone lines. I'm going to bring you in just a second. But I think it's very important for smokers to listen to that as well, too. Because I know as a smoker, you're looking for that tobacco flavor. You want something that tastes like a cigarette. I get it. Quickly, you're going to realize that after a couple weeks, it's not going to taste good. It happens to everybody. Now, there are some people that do stick with tobacco flavors through their vaping journey, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the majority of people, based even with the results that we're seeing from the vape shops and just in general in vaping, listen to what these vapors are telling you. Flavors were really, really important for them to stay off cigarettes simply because tobacco does not taste good after a while. So let me bring in 928. 928, you're on the air with Phil and Demi. What's up?
Hi, guys. It's great to be with you. I just I had a quick question. Hopefully, I wasn't dragging the show too far backwards. But when you touched on the nicotine salts, I've seen these only once at a brick and mortar here locally in town, and I was kind of curious about them because I saw that they were so much higher nicotine level. And he said, "Oh yeah, they're for the pod system, blah blah." And I'm really, that's not my bag. I started out with a cigalike, and I worked my way up to a mod with a little single coil. Sure. I do my own, but I was kind of curious to see what you had mentioned that you can take normal nicotine and put it in a pod system, but does it work vice versa? Can you take nicotine salts and put them in a conventional setup?
Sure. Absolutely, you can, especially in MTL setups. For example, for the Zenith, the 1.6 ohm coil is recommended if you want to try nicotine salts with it as well, too. My advice, okay, first of all, let me explain to you why you're seeing these higher milligram strengths. So nicotine salt basically allows you to raise that milligram level and reduce the harshness that we get from high nicotine level liquids, okay? So that is the concept behind it. The absorption rate of nicotine salt into your body is quicker than the regular nicotine that we're used to. Keep in mind, this is why we kind of vape through the day to maintain that plasma of nicotine that we feel comfortable to stay away from cigarettes. Nicotine salt gives you that much quicker. Okay, so yes, if you're struggling, if you're a dual user, if you're a smoker that can't quit with the available products that are out there, sure, nicotine salt, it might be an option for you. Even for times when you need that push, that we talked about the emotional stress earlier. In times like that, when you're looking for something that's going to take it above what you're using, there is an outlet for it. Obviously, they were developed for pod systems because pod systems are very, very small. So there's not enough power to use regular nicotine at those high levels without having the harshness of, let's say, a 40 milligram Freebase, what we call Freebase regular nicotine, would bring into a pod system like that. So the availability and the variety of nicotine salt that is out there can be a little bit confusing because we're seeing low milligram nicotine salt, which makes no sense to me. But if you are not happy...
Well, no, I was just concerned because...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, please.
I didn't want to get too far off of a point that you just made, was that the salts absorb more quickly. So if you have a higher level and you're getting it more quickly, don't you risk running Nick sick if you... Because, I mean, I'm not a person that I need to vape, probably even more. I mean, I do it more now for pleasure. I just vape like anywhere between 3 and 6 and real mellow. I don't even care. And I could never go back to smoking. I mean, if vaping were taken from me tomorrow and I could never do it, I would just not do anything because I can't smoke. Even my favorite cigars that I used to enjoy, I can't even smoke those anymore.
Fantastic.
Because they're just disgusting compared. And it's just, but I saw these nicotine salts and I was like, well, one of the juices I particularly enjoy isn't in the nicotine salt form, but if I found that same flavor profile, would it the less harshness if I used I don't know what the equivalent to, if I vape a 6 in a single coil OBS engine, what would the equivalent be in a salt form?
Right. You are the prime example of how vaping has worked, and it does that for a lot of people, okay? But unfortunately, there are people out there that are struggling, and I think that there is a responsibility that goes along with selling this product as well too, and we're hoping that the shops are informing and educating their consumers of how to use nicotine salts. And I've said this multiple times: you cannot vape nicotine salts like we do our regular nicotine, because you do risk the chance of over nicking. Now, granted, over nicking, you're going to get sweats, you're going to get a headache, you're going to feel maybe a little bit nauseated. Your body will tell you that you have too much nicotine. And that's just a reaction to expect.
Yeah, I've been Nick sick once, and
me too.
It was in a densely packed vape shop, and it was horrible. And that's why I was kind of scared of the salt, because I saw those salts and I saw 60 milligram on the bottle, and I was like, holy crap, who is vaping that? And I was just like, and the guy didn't know anything. He just said, oh, they go in the pod systems, and that's the only answer he had for me.
Go ahead.
So
and I think that's one of our concerns too, is that I mean, if you have that 60 milligram in a pre-filled pod, that's one thing. But when you have that 60 milligram in a bottle, okay, that could potentially lead to somebody taking that 60 milligram and putting it in like a sub-ohm tank, right? I don't think that 60 milligram is designed for that. So it's really important for the shop to educate the consumer as to where to correctly put that 60 milligram. And the other thing, of course, we fear is, the people using this just to get a head rush, right? Or people using this just to get a high. I don't think that's what this should be all about. And I have fears there, because that high is going to go away after a while as you continue to use this. And then what it's going to be replaced with is a stronger nicotine addiction, right? So, I mean, I'm glad those products are out there for the consumer, but we need to be real careful with how we use them.
Yeah, and I think that
and what you just told me alarms me, because I vape sub-ohm, and if I would have just not even asked you, and I was over here next week and I grabbed one of these bottles and I put it in there, I'd have been Nick sick. And it's like, how many people will that happen to? And then maybe somebody will have some serious complication, and then they're gonna be like, oh, well, Nick salt's not done. It's like, because something stupid happens because people aren't well informed, and that's kind of one thing that maybe even I can address to the guy at that shop and say, hey, look, you need to tell people, do not drop this into an OBS engine with a single coil,
right?
Because you're gonna end up sick. So
by the way, last time
so I think you guys.
Yeah. By the way, last time Phil used nicotine salts, this is what happened. He put a shoe on his head. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I don't know how that happened, but I do hope that there is some responsibility and education out there for the shops, and of course, shows like this where we try to explain that there is, of course, always pros and cons in every product that is out there. Even vaping has its cons as well, too, right? So what we have to do is make sure that we have the proper education that goes out there. I do not have a problem with salts if they're marketed and sold in correct fashion and education and the responsibility that goes along with it as well, too. But yeah, your concern is valid, and you know, look at that. Oh, he got sausages on his head now. So, but your concern is valid, and hopefully, as we're going along, we have announced that we are going to do an episode that's specific on salts here on the Smoker Show as well, too, to get a little bit more information from some people that are a little bit more smarter than us. But thank you so much for the call. We certainly appreciate you chiming in for that, and bringing it up.
Another thing too,
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You know, something else too. One of the big questions that a lot of people are always going to ask is vaping safe, right? So on tasteyourjuice.com, there is a section there called "Is Vaping Safe?" and there's a bunch of studies and articles on vaping. But there's two people in our industry. One that you've probably heard of a lot is Dr. Farsalinos, and then another gentleman that I just met in Montreal, actually in Edmonton. A cancer doctor there. I put a quick interview up on my Facebook, and we hope to have both of those gentlemen on one of these smoker shows very, very soon, to have somebody who is in the medical profession speak to vaping and answer your questions as to whether or not vaping is safe. I think we know it is at this point. I think there's a lot of data to support that, but let's hear from some medical professionals as well.
Yes, well, very, very well said. And yeah, we're definitely not experts on the subject. So, but we do have enough experience with him, and I have enough experience with him to be able to give you my opinion on it. That might not be popular with some people out there, but it's going to be the truth, and it's going to be the honest opinion of my experience with these products as well too. And I do use them because I do pod reviews, and I do use it on the flight going to Germany and back. And I do believe that there is a place in the market for them, as long as they're handled responsibly and with ethics. We did talk about high nicotine juice, and if you go to smokefreeradio.com, most of the sponsors of smokefreeradio.com have high nic liquid. And I mean, I do that on purpose, obviously, because Smoke Free Radio, just like here, is geared towards helping people and passing along information. And there's also a little coupon tab over there. You can click it for the Plume, for example, Brickwells. They've given us little codes. You can save 10-15% depending on what company you're going to use. So if you're looking for higher milligram nicotine, just regular nicotine, try to visit those sites. It's just a little guidance thing that we're giving you to be, because we get this all the time. Well, Phil gets this constantly. Hey, Phil, I can't find 50-50, 12 milligram liquid anywhere. And you're right. It's very, very difficult to find these days.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you want to suggest for high nicotine liquid?
Nixteria. I know Nixteria. You can select your nicotine level. I don't know how they're doing it, but you can still select your nicotine level. You can select your PG/VG ratio. So I do send a lot of people over that way.
Nixteria. All right, let me see if I got any questions in the chat. You got Athlete's Head? Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, Athlete's Head.
Chuck Schumer came down on Juul. Yeah, Chuck Schumer needs to go away. You
know what I find really humorous, Dimitri?
Yeah.
I find this comical. I find it comical that nowadays we have people vaping high VG, max VG, laced with sweetener, in bottles that are covered with cartoon characters, overheating their liquids on a mod that does 300 watts. Mm-hmm. The mod itself has LEDs and fidget spinners all over it, and they're coming down on the Juul.
Yeah, I know, it's just silly, but
it's so crazy.
It's a really, really bad situation, an orchestrated attack on this product. It really is, because they're dominating the market. Who makes the pod system? Well, I think Max was asking about this. I'm just gonna put the.
Whoops.
I'm such a clums. Good question. Who makes this?
It's Puff, isn't it? Puffy Cigs.
Oh God, I can't read that small.
I think that's the name. It's the same guy who makes the Avatar.
This is the package, one mini, and it's designed by Pino Spagnolo design. I hope you're asking about this, Max. Just the one mini. You're in Europe, aren't you, Max? You should be able to find this really, really easy. It's really, really good. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's really, really good. But it's it's not pre-filled. You have to. I mean, it's pre-filled. You can't refill it.
Don't get me on my jewel kick, because I see here because okay, so the high nicotine and kids are using it because it's easy to hide, and don't get me started on that, because I'm going to start ranting again.
Yes, I think we covered everything. Look, I thought we were going to do like a short show, and it's already 2 hours and 10 minutes in. It's just unbelievable.
Look at that.
Just unbelievable. But in any case, I think we've covered pretty much everything. And Mark, whoever's asking about the phone lines, they are closed now. We only have a 2-hour window to get the questions in. But if you want to put your question in the chat, I'd be more than welcome to entertain it briefly before we shut down. I do want to thank all of our sponsors, Joytech, Innokin, and of course 5 Ponds, for making the Smokers Show possible. Without them, we couldn't be. And hopefully we get a couple more sponsors that are geared towards helping smokers here in the near future, because we truly believe that these companies, by not only sponsoring the show, allow us to be able to do this, but the products that they provide are there to help smokers make the transition. And we're privileged to be able to get this product from them to pass it on to you guys. And just send them a tweet or an Instagram or something and thank them if you enjoy the show. We're going to do another giveaway for the next Smoker Show. Again, 5 comments from the next replay that's going to go up on Taste Your Juice and youtube.com/𝗜𝗡𝗡𝗢𝗡, and type something in there. I mean, look, if you just want to win the kit, you can just type, "I enjoyed the show," or "𝗜𝗓𝗡𝗢𝗡 sausages are small," or whatever. You can put whatever you want to. It doesn't really bother. I don't want to pressure anybody, but it is important to get that discussion, that feedback going. You see something that you don't like, anything that has to do with vaping, anything that has to do with smoking, type a little comment in there, and we can obviously elaborate it on the next Smoker Show. Thank you. Ashtrays Remembered says we're a great entertainment and education. Thank you very much. And I talked about this in Germany as well too, because Feel Good, one of the oldest, but not in age, but just in general. I mean, he's old too. But if in Germany, as far as reviewing, he's really a pioneer in building the vaping industry in Germany. He was the moderator, and we talked about the ball busting and the bromance and all that. And I think it's important. I think it's important to have a little bit of a humor and a little bit of entertainment. And especially today, when we have so much pressure from governments and government officials coming after vaping, and all the stress that governments now have put on us that we had previously before in our lives as well too. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and it's definitely not a shtick. It's like this constantly.
Speaking of not a shtick, so Sons of Liberty Radio asked the question there. So Dimitri, when you told me tonight, when you texted me on the cell phone, you said, "I'm getting ready." What did I text you immediately back?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, I was looking at the messages.
Okay. So when you texted me tonight that you were getting ready for the show, right?
Yeah.
What did I text you back immediately?
On the phone or on the Facebook Messenger?
On the phone. On the phone.
I don't see it on my phone.
Yeah, it's on there. You ruined it. You ruined it.
I'm sorry. I'm confused. Are you talking about Facebook Messenger or text message on the phone? Is what I'm asking.
Either Facebook Messenger or.
Well, tell me where it's at. I don't know where it's at. I forgot.
Somewhere. But so I texted you or Facebook Messenger. I don't remember which, that I was getting in the shower.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because you wanted to know if I showered before the show. Yes, of course I showered before the show.
Yes, you did text me. I don't know. Can I show that? Can I show that?
My hair. I even put a little bit of cologne on for you guys. Can you smell that? I hope so.
Hold on. Just because people might not believe that this is happening.
Yeah.
Here.
You find it?
I did.
Can you actually put it on the screen?
I can. Look. Boom. Look at that. I'm getting ready. I'm getting in the shower.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
can't make it up.
It's definitely you cannot make this stuff up. All right. So, face meat, how did I lose weight? I mean, this is the Smoker Show. It's not the weight loss show. But if you want to private message me on Facebook, I'd be more than happy to go through my diet and my exercise regimen with you. if that's what you really, really want. But I feel great. I feel amazing. and I'm gonna enjoy the sausages as well too. All right, I think we got all the questions.
I think that's good.
Covered. Let's just go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, we appreciate you guys hanging out here on the Smoker Show. Thanks for everybody for commenting. Thank you for sending your smokers. Check out the replay. Share the replay with a smoker. Like this video. Let's try to get it trending because because of the way that Google Analytics works. Hopefully a smoker will see us like, oh, what is this? Smoker Show? Let me just click on it. And who knows, maybe we'll convert a vapor as well too. And for those of you that are watching the replay, leave us a comment down below. We're going to give away 5 more kits in the next Smoker Show 2 weeks from now. And that's all I had to say. Phil.
I have nothing more to say. You said it all. You said it all. As usual, you have dominated the conversation tonight, but you have done it in such an eloquent and professional manner that I really can't complain about.
Dominated the conversation. Love you guys. See you in a couple of weeks.